state of Florida has issued a Category 5 hurricane warning. Grab your loved ones and get to safety.
Dad, what do we do?
You need to go.
I'm not leaving you here.
Crawl, rated R, only in theaters July 12th.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
Just gonna hit record so I can yell at you.
Well, what else am I? What it's called content, David. So wait. So
yes, okay. So I took the cigars to Wasteland because
Right.
I brought some cigars with me,
right,
and didn't smoke any. So I have my little travel thing that my sister got me recently.
travel humidor. Well,
yeah,
it's more
but
of a case. Right?
Yeah, travel case. And I forgot to put them back into my into my humidor when I got home. So the next week I went to the lake this past week, and I was smoking on Saturday, and I went to grab one of the CAOs because I had a CAO with me, and I can't remember the other two.
What kind of CAO?
Brazilian.
Oh, okay, Brasilia. Yeah.
And took it out and cut it. It seemed to cut fine, but then when I cut it, the leaf just started peeling away.
The wrapper just came right off. So the case you have, is it leather?
Yeah.
And how long were the cigars in there?
I had put them in. That's maybe I'm actually more guilty than I think I am, because now that I think about it, I probably had put them in there on Cigar Lounge and hadn't changed them out before I left for Wasteland. So it could have been 2 weeks. 2
or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
For those who don't know, and why the hell would you? Cigars so one of the great things about if you love cigars is that they can, in theory, keep indefinitely.
Yeah.
As long as you follow 2 simple rules. You keep them, well, 3 if you kind of.
Yeah.
So you keep them out of the sun.
Yes.
And you keep them at roughly, and I do mean roughly 70 degrees and 70% humidity.
Yeah.
Now, I like to keep them at 65, but usually people say 65 to 70.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in most humidifier packs, keep them at 69 or 65.
Nice.
So nice. But that allows the cigars to not lose their natural oils, which helps them taste better, which allows them to age safely. I've heard of people smoking cigars that have been in humidors for over 20, 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of people smoking Cubans that were imported into America before the embargo. That's pre-1968.
That's a long time.
So, and the flavors do change, and supposedly on stronger cigars, they become more delicate and intricate. But that all being said, I'm not remembering your cigar case perfectly. Does it have a decent seal on it?
Yeah. It's just like Jeff's. It goes inside basically the other one.
So is it the case that's holding it plastic?
No, I think they're both leather.
So why would you say leather seals well?
Good point. But I mean, it seals in the aspect of doesn't come apart.
Closes and seal are just not quite the same thing in this context.
Yeah, you're right.
In this context.
Also, this cigar chap made special for our buddy Patrick, who loves when we have.
I know how much he enjoys a good stogie.
Yes.
So this one's for you. This is a Don Pepin original blue. But no, yeah. So that's a really long time.
Yeah.
To leave them.
Well,
out.
and different temperatures too, because think about it. It was cold at Wasteland. And then
wait, did you leave it in your car?
Yeah. Well, no. It came inside with me. When I got home, it came inside.
Okay, so it never got left in your car.
Never got left in the car. The only time I got left in the car was the weekend of Wasteland. It was in the back.
For how long?
Yeah, the whole weekend. It was in my.
That's what ruined
bag.
It.
Yeah.
It got too cold.
Yeah.
It got too cold and too dry.
Now, yeah. Yeah, because I don't think I took them out because I didn't see a reason to take them out, and that's my own fucking fault. Now that I think about it.
Cold can really fuck them up.
Fuck.
Especially if they don't have enough humidity, and then you try to smoke them before they've been able to recover.
Really
but even then,
fucked.
It can wreck them what?
I hope my last Cuban's not fucked, because that's also in there, I think.
Where is that? That is the Cuban now in your humidor?
Yeah.
Resting?
Yes.
Safely?
Yes, and has been.
I would, if I were you, if it was me, I would try not to touch it or even look at it for at least a month.
Okay. Oh, I can do that.
In the hope that it'll be okay.
That'll put me basically almost near my birthday, so I can do that.
Oh, you saving your Cubans for your birthday. It's been a long time since we ordered any Cubans.
Yeah. It's like the last, I think I have 2 left. I think that's what I'm on right now, because I think that's the last of the actual, yeah, that's the last of them, yep.
Yeah. For people who are thinking, hey, you can't have Cubans, grow up. First of all, there are an immense amount of fake Cuban cigars in the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, a lot.
But I've been lucky enough to find, there are vendors that will sell them to you in America.
Yeah.
And it's not it's a crime for them to be imported.
Yeah.
So if they get caught at the border, they get sent back.
Yeah.
But if they get through the border and then they're in your house, they're good and legal. Because you can go to Canada and buy Cuban cigars. You can even go to Cuba and you're allowed to bring home 100 cigars without any issue, as long as you're bringing them home for you and not to sell them.
There is a cop show that I would love to find that was either on USA or WGN. I can't remember which, but I remember distinctly a character taking a cigar and breaking it, and they had stuffed cocaine inside the cigars.
That's great. That's like taking a machine gun and filling it with heroin. They'll never find it. It's like they're already searching cigars. My Lord.
I just remember that. And I don't know if it was a serious show or if it was a parody movie or what it was. I just remember that being a thing. They broke them apart and it was just like, and then here's this cocaine.
It's okay. Hollywood.
If anybody knows what that
doing.
is, please email into the show. I would love to know what the hell that is.
Yeah, for sure.
Been hunting for it for 20 years.
So we're recording this.
Yes.
On tax day.
Yes. We made it through, and I more so say you made it through.
Yeah, I did.
Sounded like a non-vet.
I actually ended up getting through it better than a lot of my other small business friends.
Oh, no shit.
A lot of my freelancer small business friends got raked over the coals pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, I kind of was lucky, even though I did not have a good time.
My parents are not looking forward to next year because that's going to incorporate the retirement.
Oh, you mean the buyout of their business?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's
going to suck.
That's gonna blow.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Damn, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Well, on the plus side, not trying to play too inside of baseball, but your dad's still planning on opening that small business.
Already has.
It's already open?
Yeah, not open, but he already has his logo and everything made.
What I'm saying is, if it goes into business, then he can have deductions from that at least.
Yeah.
That could offset it. Once it's officially a thing, we'll tell all the many listeners that are, hey, go to Troy, Ohio. It's worth the drive from Sacramento or whatever.
Wherever you're listening from.
But the reason I brought that up, aside from because I'm angry and bitter,
fair enough.
Constantly,
yes,
is my wallet was weeping, when I was done paying my taxes. So I decided, what better way to cure that than to buy too many cigars?
Absolutely.
And you may ask, how many is too many? When I find out, I'll tell you.
He's never going to count. That's what I would like to get across to our listeners and viewers. He has said numerous times he will never count how many cigars he has.
I refuse. It's not that I never will. I refuse.
You refuse.
I am sickened by the implication.
What if somebody came into the house, put a gun to your head, and said, "Tell me how many cigars you have," and went across to you and made you count them?
I'd be like, "Tell me how many brains I have." Let's go.
Let's go. Also, couch gun.
better to live that way.
Fair enough.
But no. I my whole life.
Yeah.
I am a very, very skilled finder of savings and deals. I'm very good at it. I always
turn
have
me
been.
onto some. Yes.
I mean, I'm the guy who I've been with friends when they've been like, fuck it, I'm going to buy this computer, or I'm going to buy this whatever. And I'll be like, hold on. Let me just type in promo code that. And I'll be like, here, this is 10% off. They'll be like, what? And I'm like, always Google things before you buy them.
Yeah.
You just never know. So with cigars, there are basically like two places to go to get very affordable high-end cigars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to plug them because they're not paying me.
Not paying you.
And because I don't know if any of the listeners are cigar people. So I'm not so it just wouldn't, what would it do to tell them the exact place? But one place is an auction place and one place is a store.
Yeah.
And at the auction place, it's horrible because you're buying overstock. And what I mean by horrible is sometimes the prices are so good, it's like impossible to resist.
Oh yeah.
Like you'll find an auction for a 5-pack of cigars and you can win the auction for what it costs to buy 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes even 1.
It's a good deal when you get it.
I got 25 Monte Cristo cafes by shopping studiously and bidding aggressively. I ended up paying about $1.85 each, and retail they're $10. So
That's pretty damn good.
yeah. But the problem with that place where you bid, because it's all overstock, it's not like you're bidding from it's not like eBay where anybody is auctioning. But the problem with that site is I'll win something and it's like, wow, you got 5 of those for $16. I'm like, hell yeah. And it's like, but it's $7 shipping. And I'm like, well, that sucks a little bit. But then you're like, but if I won more before it ships, then the shipping cost of everything goes down because it only costs like $1 to add to the shipping.
Yeah.
So the reason they're evil is because they'll be like, wow, you got a really good deal on those cigars. It'd be a shame if you could just keep getting deals until you've spent 4 times as much as you wanted to.
Yeah, I can feel that.
And that's happened to me a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I jokingly told Rachel I'm no longer in the bulking phase. I'm out of bulking. I'm no longer carbo loading.
Yeah.
I'm no longer cigargo loading.
That's fair.
But that was my therapy for how mad I was about my tax bill.
Yes.
Is I was like, I'm going to allow myself to buy quite a few cigars, really high end stuff. I'm becoming an old man with them. There was a long period where I said every cigar I get, or like I would get cigars and I'd be like, I just want tons of different ones, like a million different cigars. And I do love that. Yeah. I do love trying a new cigar very, very much.
Absolutely.
But recently I was like really stressed out and I'd go into my humidor and I'd dig around because there's so much random stuff. I don't even know what's in there.
Yeah.
And I'd pull one out and I'd smoke it. And sometimes I'd be like, wow, that's amazing. But other times I would smoke it. I'd be like, that was just fine. I guess that was all right. Like it didn't, or it burned weird, or I don't know anything about it. So maybe it was badly manufactured.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I think I just want to buy like boxes of like the 10 I love.
Yeah.
And then have like 20 randos.
Yeah.
I've got to a point now where I'm not saying I just want a cigar. I'm saying like, I want a Dom Pepin Blue.
Well, I'll gladly come trick or treat here and take some of those off your hand if you want to.
Well, only if I run out of hand wipes, because that's what I give big kids with no costume named David. So anyway, but,
yes.
but no. Well, my point is not even to be about cigar talking. It's just to say that that's been my little treat. It got a little out of hand, so I really do have to stop. I don't know if I told you the auction site. The reason I got back on it was I needed some more sticks, and I was like, oh man, I should see if I can get them cheap. And then I was like, well, I promised myself I wouldn't use that site for a while because I was spending way too much money.
Yeah.
So I went on the site and looked at my last order, and it was 2023, and this was 2 months ago, 2025. So I was like, I did well. So, but now, I better not get back on there till maybe even 2026.
It's kind of me on Blu-ray.com or even Vudu sometimes.
Although I did bid on some black market SLEs, but the price, it's just, I'm almost out.
Yeah.
So,
hey, speaking of things we spend our money on, did your Beyond ship yet?
Mine
hasn't yet.
Supposed to be here Saturday at the latest.
Son of a bitch.
What I love about it is it's shipping from Massachusetts. Spooky. But before we, I've been watching the remaining episodes of Stan Against Evil. Yeah. Because I only watched the first season and a half.
I think I only watched the first season or so too.
I love that show. Yeah. Super funny. It's on Shudder now.
It's John C. McGinley is so fucking funny.
He's great in it.
Yeah.
But the only complaint I have with that show is it's supposed to take place in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And I know they shot it in Georgia because they advertise it at the end and everything. But they aren't even trying.
They're not even trying
to make it seem like Massachusetts. What I mean is, they are like they're doing things, but I mean like the side characters are all super Southern. Like they just are. At one point they're flashing back to something and a guy walks in and he literally looks like Colonel Sanders. Like he has a style of Colonel Sanders. And I was like, That's not Massachusetts, homies. I'm not trying to be a know-it-all, but like the South and New England are not that much alike in that way.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy the show, but I would kind of laugh because they'd occasionally introduce a side character and they'd all talk like this. And I'd be like, why is everybody who's random a
Maybe
Southern
that's
accent?
the joke.
I think that they just, they're just like, yeah, we're in Georgia. Let's have fun. Although the last episode I watched was three
seasons ago. Yeah.
The last episode I watched had the guy who did Trevor in GTA was a character in it.
I listened to him on a podcast. The podcast listened to Rosenbaum's Inside of You. He was a guest on there recently. He's a really fascinating guy. Loves farts.
I've heard that from you. But no, Stand Against Evil is super fun.
It's fun.
And it's so weird because the show, I think it ended in like 2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. It feels like a universe apart.
Well, I mean, Svengoolie Stomp, the cast was featured in that video.
Well, two of them.
Yeah.
Dana Gould and John C. McKinley.
Yeah.
Dana Gould, who's the creator and showrunner on it. But my point is, like, it feels like a lifetime ago because, like, it's a very TV show. Like, it doesn't have that, like, the way TV is now vibe of being
feature length.
Well, not, but just having like all arcs.
Yeah.
Like it's 22 minutes, which when I made Boggy Creek, the series, the episodes were 30 minutes. And I remember when I was editing them and even when I was shooting them.
Yeah.
Although shooting them was different because we'd shoot scenes from like a bunch of episodes in one day. But when we were editing them, I'd be like, it's over. It felt like it had just gotten started and it was over. Same thing when we did Found Footage, the series.
Yeah.
Although those episodes were never intended for like broadcast. So like they could be 30 minutes whole as to where Boggy, they had to be 22 to 24 minutes hard stop because it was shown in some broadcast markets. So, but it was just weird. So when I watched Stand Against Evil, I'm like, I'm enjoying it, but I'm like, damn, it's already over. Like when the credits start, I'm always surprised.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I've become completely used to this movie version of television.
Yeah.
Which in many ways has ruined television. Not for the audience.
Yeah.
For the audience, television has become way better.
Yeah.
But for the people who make television, it used to be like, yep, we do 55 episodes, we work all year. And now it's like, we do 10, and there's no residuals from advertising.
It's like, I remember the first time that I realized the difference between old TV and new TV is looking at the listing of Batman season 1 episodes and how there's like 42 of them.
Yep. Well, they also used to, I mean, when you go that far back, they also assumed that you never watched all of them in any constructive way.
Yeah.
Now, they assumed maybe via reruns over the course of 6 years, you might see every episode.
Yeah.
But you would never just have a fully formed opinion of the whole run because to them, they're like, oh, well, sometimes people are busy on the same bad time, same bad channel. Like sometimes people go out to dinner or go to the movies or whatever. Meanwhile, fast forward and now people are like, I'm going to watch the whole thing. And it is tough because I always used to get frustrated when people would pick on sitcoms because they'd be like, they tell the same story every week. It's like, yeah, but you have to look at their situation. They're told like 24 a year.
Yeah.
And don't be so different that people stop watching.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's like, I'm a huge Bob's Burgers fan, and I've kind of fallen off the last couple of years because they're repeating storylines. They're doing it creatively. They're not like, straight up ripping them off because they can't rip themselves off in that sense. But it's kind of like with not South Park, Simpsons has even got to a point of. But
they've been on for what, over 30 years?
Yeah, over 30 years. And I mean, Bob's Burgers is on season 16 now.
I mean, that's crazy too, though.
Yeah.
I sincerely did not know Bob's Burgers was still on the air.
Well, now I'm curious, what season are they on? Because I know it's.
Dave's about to get serious.
Oh man, I feel so called out right now because I just typed in Bob and it filled it in Bob's Burgers daytime whiskey because there's an episode where he gets into his whiskey because they leave on Thanksgiving and he's like, daytime whiskey, meet my CD collection. That's me.
See, when you type in Bob into Google, it autofills burgers, whiskey, or whatever.
Yeah.
When I type in Bob, it says from. I thought I could do it without laughing.
Yeah.
I give up.
15 seasons. So yeah, I mean, I guess 16 would be if they come back.
What I was trying to say, but I wanted to say it without laughing, was I was saying, when I type in Bob, it autofills from Lucio Fulci's House by the Cemetery.
I figured that's where you were going.
I couldn't get it out. Like I completely lost it.
So,
but speaking of inability to get out,
Oh, yes. Yes.
We just got back from the movie theater.
We did indeed.
Or as I call it, the theatre.
Or church.
I do call it church sometimes. If I could smoke cigars there, I'd just never leave.
Yeah, I mean, we've said that before.
Why not? Why not? The ventilation system in a good movie theater is excellent. The ceilings are like 25 feet high. The smoke is not going to linger on anybody.
And you can laugh like Max Cady.
Where's your family?
Oh, God.
It's a great film.
Good
man.
Good man. Okay. But yes, we just got back from seeing Drop, Blumhouse's new thriller. That was a lot of fun.
Dude, okay. So do you remember what I said when the trailer first dropped?
You saw it before me, and I was sitting next to you in the theater, and you said, you got to look at this. This is Blumhouse's new one. And I just remember the scene in the trailer when that window breaks. I was just like, I'm in already. Like that, like I don't have to see another
awesome moment.
Yeah.
So it's a thriller, and I don't think in this case the use of the term thriller is to denounce horror movie.
It's a whodunit.
It just isn't a horror movie per se. It's much more a mystery thriller.
Yeah.
And it's super Hitchcockian.
Mm-hmm.
The moment they get to the restaurant, which by the way, what a location.
Yeah. No
I mean, it was just it was a great location, like really interesting to look at. All the characters around were great, which because I remember when we got to the restaurant and it was so like designed.
Yeah.
It was so thought out.
Well, the entryway into the restaurant.
Yeah.
My God.
But my first thought when I saw it is I was like, see, this is why we'll be able to stay in here for almost the entire movie, is because it's interesting to look at in every angle, every direction.
Yeah.
It's a restaurant that has a view of, air quotes, the Chicago skyline. Apparently it was in Ireland.
Yeah, in Ireland, apparently.
Although that could have been green screen. I have no idea. I mean, honestly, if it was, it looked incredibly convincing because I didn't think it looked like anything else. But the basics of the movie, it's a straight up whodunit thriller kind of thing. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, hell yeah, another thriller. Like, I love those. There was a great time right before COVID when we were getting these Sony produced.
Was that The Intruder with like Dennis Quaid?
That was actually later in it. I think that was after COVID.
That was before.
I mean, it could be. I'm talking about like The Perfect Guy.
Oh yeah.
But there were a ton of movies like that.
I mean, we had The Perfect Guy. What was it? The Cradle Will Fall.
When the Bow Breaks.
When the Bow Breaks.
Yeah, exactly. That was one I was trying to remember.
Not undoubtable. That one that had Katherine Heigl in it. That was like one of her last movies.
Oh, it was like Undeniable?
Something like that, yeah.
Was that the one where he was like, I'm not telling you to get a shotgun?
No, that's The Perfect Guy.
Oh, that was The Perfect Guy.
That's
okay.
The Perfect Guy.
No, but my point is, most of them were geared toward black audiences and were super fun. Because that's one thing that I enjoy. Like, I know I'm the guy who likes Tyler Perry movies. I know I'm the guy who likes whatever. But like, a lot of those, especially those black-led thrillers, where the cast was mostly black and it was geared toward a black audience. Yeah. They're just good because the goal is to entertain and get that money, honey, because they know that their core audience is not the entire country. So they have to get good word of mouth. They have to do all the stuff. They're just basically counting on the core audience to bring the initial cash.
Acrimony is one of the best thrillers.
Love Acrimony.
That so many people have not seen, and I love Acrimony might be an episode because there's a lot to talk about.
I would love to cover Acrimony. That's a Tyler Perry thriller. Yeah. That's really, really good.
Because I never saw No Good Deed. You said it was okay.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And then there was the other one that he did like a couple of years ago.
There were a few he did for Netflix that were like really corner cut, which I actually just found amusing.
Well, it's like even that one that Gabrielle Union did, Breaking In. That was, which, home invasion thriller. You've got information we want. We'll kill your kids if you don't give it to us. Mom fights back.
Yeah, and like I've been saying on the show for a while. It's like not every movie has to reinvent every wheel.
No, to
get you to the fun you want to have.
If it's a simple story but executed so well with really likable characters and genuinely a good build with the suspense, not just in getting to the final act, but just keeping you enthralled the entire time.
Sure.
That's the key.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any movie needs to keep you
enthralled.
Yeah. So I was just so happy to see such a just kind of relentlessly honest thriller.
Yeah.
It didn't try to fool you into anything other than going like, this is going to be a ride.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Drop is about a young woman who goes on a date for the first time in years after some severe trauma, a traumatic relationship
Young mother,
had ended.
we should say.
Yeah. And she's meeting at this very fancy restaurant with this guy who's like super handsome, almost too handsome. That's one of my favorite things about the movie is there are a bunch of red herrings.
Yeah.
And everybody is a little cartoony, which makes you suspect they might be pretending.
Yeah.
Like the waiter is super flamboyant, but also super show businessy. He's always talking about like, I'm in an improv troupe and I blah, blah, blah. And you're like, or like the waitress, or not the waitress, the bartender.
Yeah.
Who's like really helpful and really vigilant to the point where you're like, are you really on her side or is something else going on? There's just all these great characters that you're wondering. And of course, the guy you're on a date with, because he's so charming and so forgiving when she's weird.
And mysterious.
So basically, this is what the trailer gives away, so I'm not giving away too much. But so she's on this date. She starts getting drops on her phone, which are not text messages. They're sent through your phone network.
Yeah.
They're mostly known as airdrops, but they made a joke about how it wasn't airdrops in the movie, which I thought was funny because that just means Apple wouldn't pay them. So they were like, then we won't mention it. But so she gets these drops basically saying like, I have your son and, do what I say. And the trailer reveals that the one thing it demands is kill your date.
Kill your boyfriend. Yeah. Or kill your date.
Kill your date. So what we have is a movie literally about a first date, which that alone causes so much anxiety. And I realized halfway through, I was like, oh my God, I'm squirming just because this is a first date.
Yeah.
And she's so distracted because she's trying to protect her son and all this stuff and trying to figure out who in the room is doing it because drops can't be sent from more than 50 feet away. So they have to be in.
And no stone is unturned. Like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but like no stone is unturned. Like they go through every single option it is to figure this out. And you even follow her, like trying to even look at the cameras multiple times and all that stuff.
Yeah. She's trying to figure it out, escape, et cetera, et cetera. And it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
She ends up trying to figure out what to do and blah, blah, blah. Great, taut, simple thriller. I heard you say some people were comparing it to Wes Craven's Red Eye.
Yeah.
I think that literally no. But Red Eye and this are a perfect example
combo
of a simplistic but strong thriller.
This Red Eye phone booth. Phone booth's really good.
Well, phone booth is phenomenal.
Yeah.
No, that's not my point. My point is, would I put it in that threesome? Would I? I don't know if I would. Well, hold on, because Red Eye,
lawyer up, it's fine.
Red Eye and Drop are also about two women who are very, very,
okay.
They're not like, roll your eyes, strong women. They're really great characters.
Yeah.
And you want to see them outsmart the bad guys.
And there is some romantic thing there. And I think you're forgetting the part where Colin Farrell's like Kiefer Sutherland. No, you hang up.
Okay, that's fucking funny. That took me a second. For a second, when you said Colin Farrell, I thought you had just said the wrong actor's name from Red Eye.
Yeah.
But then when you said you hang up, I was like, all right. No, that's
phone booth joke.
Yeah, for the 1.5 of you. So no, that's really good. But no, so Drop, I thought was super fun, super enthralling, great way to spend 90 minutes at the movie theater.
Absolutely.
Doing well at the box office.
Even better.
I was shocked to see $11,000 or $11 million budget, did $10 million in opening weekend, which means it's pretty much going to be a hit.
Yeah.
It's a Blumhouse production, but I believe Platinum Dunes was involved as well.
Correct. And same director as Happy Death Day and Freaky. And I mean, the list goes on and on with Christopher Landon.
Yeah. And which I didn't realize until the day of. And great director. Because I know he just announced Happy Death Day 3 was going to be happening. And I'm down to see them wrap that up.
No, it's a really fun movie. We highly recommend Drop. And it is only 95 minutes, but you won't even feel it.
Well, I remember at one point telling you that the reason I felt like that movie nailed being on a date going wrong was that it was like the longest 90 minutes of my life once they were, because it's just so odd, because she's looking at her phone and looking all shocked, and it's like, tell him what I'm saying and I'll kill your son.
Yeah.
So she has to just sit down and go, no, I'm fine. And you're like, oh my God, this is so stressful. So I really had a great time with it.
So much fun.
I couldn't recommend Drop enough if you like movies. And the other great thing about thrillers is, about like thrillers like these, and not like the cop-out thrillers like saying Exorcist is a thriller or Silence of the Lambs is a thriller just so you can, be accepted at the Oscars.
Yeah.
But the great thing about thrillers like these is they're highly accessible. You could take your mom to see Drop. Excuse me. You could take your mom to see Drop. You could take anybody who likes movies to see drop. And there's some sensitive stuff in it, but like if you're that sensitive to those things, you probably avoid going to the movies a lot.
It probably wouldn't be the best idea.
It is tough because I always hear people say like, well, some people are just sensitive, whatever. I'm like to plot. Because like if the movie is just like they go to the store and then they come back and they make a ham sandwich and then they cut it diagonally and watch a movie and then the credits roll, that's called voyeurism. That's not a movie.
Yeah, that's not a movie.
It's just like look into your neighbor's window. No pants on.
Sorry, I got distracted there. Apple TV has a new show called Your Friends and Neighbors, and I was just checking to see if it was based off of the movie, and it's not.
No, it's not. Oh, but speaking of Apple TV, I started watching The Studio with Seth Rogen.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice to see him being funny again. It's really, really funny.
Check it out, yeah.
He plays a young guy who, well, young-ish, he's probably 40 at that point, 45, who becomes a studio head after working at a movie studio for a really long time. And the episodes are just like him encountering the problems and messing it up. And every episode, he looks more and more like an out-of-touch studio executive.
Oh my God.
No, like his hair gets messier, his glasses get bigger. He starts driving a sports car. They had and the cameos are constant. They had like one of my favorites was, you know who Sarah Polley is, right?
Oh, yeah,
the actress and director.
Yep.
There's one where he's like, we're doing this prestige picture. It's small budget, but it's incredible. And they're doing this big wonder. And when he gets there, Sarah Polley's just the director. I was like, I love her. Ever since Take This Waltz, I think she's a genius.
She's genius, yeah.
So it's really, really fun. But there are all these things like at one point he like screws over Martin Scorsese. And it was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen in a show or anything. Cause he tells Martin this bad news. And he's like, I don't know what else to tell you. I'm really sorry. And then he just starts like, puts his hand in his head, he's like, oh my God, is Martin Scorsese crying? And it's like, we got to get out of here. And then everybody in the room's like, Marty, what's wrong? And they're all like checking on him.
That's hilarious.
And it's Charlize Theron's party.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, so Charlize goes over and talks to him and looks over and he's like, hey, Charlize, she's like, get the fuck out of my party and never come back. He's like, I got it. Just like, it's
all right. I got to check that out.
It's really, really funny. It's not even complete. So I binged it and now I'm having to wait every week to watch it, which is painful.
Yeah.
But there's so much interesting stuff I'm waiting on. Like the final season of The Righteous Gemstones has been incredible.
I've watched the first episode and then I just wanted to save all of it, honestly. I just wanted to binge it.
That first episode was the one where it's the Civil War, wasn't it?
Civil War. Well, that's the prologue. The first episode is the jetpacks.
It's not prologue, it's interlude.
Interlude, my apologies.
Well, that's what they call all of the past episodes. They call them interlude 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Well, this week's one was another interlude, different time period, but it was really, really.
Okay.
Oh, and they introduce. Oh, well, since you're not watching this, won't spoil anything. Michael Rooker has entered the chat.
Okay.
He's in the cast.
Okay.
Yeah, he just joins. I don't know what he's going to do because they just established a character he plays.
If you said Michael Keaton, I would have left the show and that would have gone watched.
Yeah, you would have just went into my living room and opened up my Max app. So anyway, that's the stuff I've been watching. I haven't been watching a lot of movies because I've been very busy. Yeah. But I've been trying to watch some TV shows and stuff and trying to go to the theater whenever I can.
Absolutely.
I by the time you hear this, it'll already be over, but I just like at the last minute, I'm going to the Columbus Oddities and Curiosities Fair.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Except there goes a Friday, Saturday, and most of a Sunday. It's okay.
So good.
But you know, I mean, I'm missing Easter this year, but at least I did do Seder.
Yeah.
I'm not Jewish, so I don't know if it counts, but
like you did the thing.
What?
I said you did the thing.
I did the thing. I by the way, kids, there are two ways this can go. You either need me at your Passover dinner or you should never invite me because I will eat all the matzah.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
I actually love plain matzah. Now, part of it, you've never been to a Seder dinner, I'm assuming. Part of it is it takes forever to get to the food. So for real, like it takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours of talking before you really get to eat much. So when they hand me that Passover, it's like manna from heaven to me. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so hungry because we start at dinner time. But it was really funny because the lady next to me actually just picked up a piece of matzah and started snacking on it before the thing. And I just turned to her and I was like, how many years through the desert did you walk to get that?
Oh my God.
It's great. I'm the cop on Passover. Not even a member of the tribe. And here I am. So it's really just because I like to frustrate people.
That sounds about right.
Goddamn right it is. So anyway, well, I actually, if you don't mind, David.
Yes, sir.
Because I am such a big fan, I kind of wanted to give the intro of the film.
By all means.
Because I really, when I saw this movie, I remember being just blown away and being like, goddamn, how great characters, great action. So today we're talking about 1983's Krull.
Yeah,
starring starring Ken Marshall, Lisette
son
Anthony,
of a bitch.
and Freddie. Oh, I'm just kidding.
You son of a bitch.
Because I know for a fact
Warrior King.
that the more we talk about this movie, the more we're gonna it's gonna sound like we're saying crawl instead of crawl.
Well, there's also like 3 horror films called Crawl. Because there's this one, there's one that was
Would you
under...
consider this a horror movie? I would.
Yeah, I would.
I think so. I mean, it's pretty violent.
It's in that same canon as oh god, what's that movie? The Shallows. Wow, I was blanking there for a second.
The Shallows.
Yeah, and I think The Shallows, even though it's kind of more of a thriller than a horror movie, it's a straight up horror movie compared in the sense of what she's going through.
No, I would say that. Yeah, well,
yeah.
That's I think that literally, if you want to consider something a horror movie, look to horrific moments.
Yeah.
Like if you only get one,
yeah,
then it's probably more likely to be a thriller.
Yeah.
But if it's a constant occurrence keeping you on your toes,
yeah,
it's much more likely to be a horror movie.
Well, it's like there's a tough balance with creature features because like Jurassic Park and Jaws are lopped in with action for the most part. Whenever you go to like
and fantasy
a movie store and fantasy, yeah, and stuff like that. Whereas like Alligator is on the horror aisle. I mean, it is more of a horror film now I think about it.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Is like if it were just like, excuse me, monsters grabbing people and pulling them off or whatever,
yeah, it
could possibly just be a thriller. But when you're seeing people getting chomped proper, which by the way, best review of Crawl ever, people get chomped
properly.
But with a movie like that, and of course it's directed by Alexandre Aja, which we'll talk about in a second. But I think it's horrific enough to be a straight up monster, and it's a monster movie of sorts too.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a phenomenally suspenseful horror film.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it brings in an element of not only the natural disaster, but like as with Hard Rain, we had natural disaster and robbers.
Yeah, natural disaster and crime.
Yeah. Now this is natural disaster and hungry gators.
Hungry gators.
Lots of hungry gators.
And I want to mention, by the way, in case you haven't had a chance to check it out and you'd like to watch it before we go through the whole thing, Pluto TV
currently
has
on
it
Pluto.
streaming for free, and then you could rent it on Prime and probably anywhere you rent movies.
And it did recently get a 4K transfer, which means you can rent the 4K as well. So if you are...
I bought the 4K because I was going to use your account, but I was like, I'm going to check the place I use. Again, I'm not going to plug these places.
Yeah.
The place I use to buy digital codes on discount,
I
got a $4.99 4K.
That's pretty nice.
So I was like, I'll watch it and I'll pay the $5. And that's to own, not to rent.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll do that.
Hell yeah.
So I know I'm a namby-pamby. I like to pay for my movies, but I don't like to pay a lot.
That's fair.
That's the damn difference.
So Crawl from 2019, 1 hour and 27 minutes. Rated R.
What?
For bloody creature violence and brief language.
They do briefly use language.
IMDb synopsis says, gigantic alligators swarm around a young woman and her father as floodwaters engulf their home.
My only problem, gigantic alligators makes it sound like there's something
wrong,
unusual about them. I would say huge alligators. That's a nitpick, but I would say huge alligators because they're just really big. They're not like unbelievably big.
Say huge alligators. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
I knew it. I'm teaching you how to like pull the wool over my eyes, huh?
My synopsis says, when trying to check on her father during a hurricane, a young woman comes face to face with several huge alligators, leading to a fight for survival.
Fucking perfect. It's goddamn perfect, kids. That's how you do it.
Now, if you're ready for some fun, we got some taglines this week.
Oh, I am very curious.
They were here first. Not bad.
You ever think about that? How alligators like have barely changed in like a million years?
Yeah, they're
versus
basically
like
dinosaurs.
Versus like, look at you when you were 23. I mean, completely fucking different. And thank God.
Thank God. This one, I think this is on. Do you remember the poster that has the alligator sign, and then you like see the alligator in the water by it, like one of the first posters? I think this is that poster because it says danger. Alligators are common in this area. They can be dangerous. They have been known to stalk prey. They will hunt you.
I like that because it reads a little silly.
Yeah. If the storm doesn't get you, they will.
Oh, that's a great tag.
That's great.
That's almost too good that it almost like loses efficacy because it's so effective. Because it's like, that sounds like a title for Jaws.
Yeah.
You know, like it's almost too classic.
Swim like hell.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good one. Especially because the movie's called Crawl, but then it's swim like hell. But it helps you pick up on that it's a storm movie.
Yeah.
In case you're looking at the poster, it like makes sure you understand what's going on. Granted, the poster makes it very clear it's in the middle of a hurricane.
It does indeed. And last, watch your back.
I mean, fine. Like, fair enough. You know?
Yeah.
They're not wrong.
So, director of the film is Alexandre Aja. Gets his start in 1999. Director and writer on Furia. Then goes on to shoot 2003's Hot and/or High Tension,
Which took everything.
Took
by
everything.
storm.
I remember when High Tension came out. First, it was advertised everywhere for one, and it was so extreme French horror, like hitting the market, like right around the time of like Martyrs and what's the one I'm trying to think of? That's the Nazis. I think it's like, is it Borders or?
I'm not sure. I don't remember that one.
I can't remember. Yeah, I've seen it a couple times.
I always considered Hot Tension to be the beginning of the French Extreme era, which ran pretty hard from like 2003, 2002, 2003 until like 09, 2010 era. I mean, because we got some incredible stuff, and not all of them were, French. They were just kind of French produced, French directors like P2.
Frontiers. That's what I'm thinking of.
Frontiers.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I haven't thought about Frontiers.
Frontiers is rough.
That's as opposed to Hot Tension, which is a walk in the goddamn park. Yeah. Let's team that up with, fucking Fraggle Rock.
Oh my God.
I got an email earlier from somebody, from our buddy Wolfdan, just laughing his butt off about your combining what was it? You combined Fire in the Sky with that.
Explorers.
Explorers.
Yeah.
He just thought that was hilarious. He was like, I don't know what's my favorite. The reaction of you going, "Are you messing with me?" or Dave doubling down.
Yeah.
They're both really good.
Pretty good.
And I was like, that's a conversation with Dave.
So, as far as director and writer, he also goes to do 2006's remake of The Hills Have Eyes. Follows that up with Mirrors, which everyone forgot about.
Mirrors
with Kiefer Sutherland and I can't remember her name, but it was famous for that trailer that had the woman taking, like, she was looking in the mirror and she takes her jaw and just basically rips it off her face.
Oh, I never saw that poster.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad movie. Pretty fun.
Everybody forgot it, but it was a hit.
Was it a hit? I know it got a direct-to-video sequel.
Yeah, Alexandre Aja.
Yeah, 2008.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Budget $35 million, box office 78.
Damn.
So for a movie that size and that time period, I would say that's likely a hit.
I don't think it's even off Blu-ray, and probably hasn't been pressed in a while too, to be honest.
Apparently, it's a remake of a South Korean horror movie called Into the Mirror.
That makes sense, actually. 2009's The E-Seeker, which he's E-Seeker File, which he's director and writer on. He also directed Piranha 3D in 2010.
I always forget that he did that because it was so out of character for him, but really great.
Yeah. Horns in 2013.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Ninth Life of Louis Drass in 2016. Then directs Crawl in 2019, Oxygen 2021, Never Let Go in 2024.
Oh, okay.
But writer on P2 in 2007.
Right.
And Maniac remake in 2012.
I didn't realize he wrote on Maniac, the remake. That's a good one. I need to revisit that. It's been a while.
It's good. I actually got to see the premiere of that at Horror Hound, and I did not know it was a POV.
POV, yeah.
And I remember sitting down and just being like, this is going to be so fucked up. Like, not like the first Maniac wasn't.
You were like, but this one's got Elijah Wood. It's going to be so much more fucked up, bro.
Writers on the film are Michael and Sean Rasmussen. They get their start in 2005 writing Long Distance. The Ward, John Carpenter's The Ward in 2010.
I've never seen The Ward.
It's not bad. I mean,
I've heard it's not great, but
not great.
I've just never gotten around to it.
It got shadowed really hard because it has a lot in common with Shutter Island.
Oh, okay.
So that's one thing I will say that I do recall. It's been a while since I've seen it, though. Fortunately, I remember burning that one on DVD.
Wow, you hated it so much you set it on fire in effigy.
Yep, that's exactly what I did. Dark Feed in 2013, which they also direct. The Inhabitants in 2015. Crawl in 2019, and most recently The Unheard in 2023, which they also direct.
Unheard?
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
That one I've not seen, but I knew it had came out, but I think I have come across it on a streaming service, I want to say. Maybe?
Unheard?
The Unheard, yes.
The Unheard?
In 2023.
I'm not finding it. Weird.
Cinematographer on the film is Maxima Alexandra, gets the start in 2003 with High Tension. Follows that up with shooting The Defender in 2004, Hills Have Eyes remake 2006, The Last Drop 2006, Catacombs in 2007, P2 in 2007, Mirrors in 2008, Holy Money 2009, The Crazies remake, The End, Maniac remake, Silent Hill Revelation in 2012, The Voices in 2014. Follows it up with... Yeah.
That one?
That one.
All right.
Follows it up to Earth to Echo, followed by The Other Side of the Door in 2016, which did you see that one? Because I feel like you might have saw that and I missed it. I mean, that was back a while ago.
Which was it? I'm sorry.
The Other Side of the Door, which was that like tribal spirit one that had the really weird poster.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it was around that time that you and I were going to the movies for sure.
Wait. Hold on.
Tell me.
The Other Side of the Door. I'm just checking it real quick. Did I see this?
Ring any bells?
Maybe.
I feel like you did, but I can't remember.
Oh, I did. Because the actress in it was on a TV show.
Okay.
At that time, her name's escaping me. Sarah Wayne Callies.
Okay.
What was she in that I knew? She was in something like really popular. Oh, she was the wife of Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Okay. Yeah.
I did see that when it came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then goes to shoot Annabelle Creation in 2017. The Domestics in 2018, The Nun in 2018, Shazam 2019, Crawl 2019, follows it up with Countdown, which is one I know we watched or either saw in theaters.
Oh, I like
the
Countdown.
phone, that phone app. 2019, Haunting of Bly Manor, 6 episodes in 2020, Come Play 2020, Oxygen 2021, The Girl in the Woods, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City in 2021, Cello 2023, Roleplay, Dear Paris, and most recently Let Go in 2024.
By the way, The Unheard. Is a Shudder original.
That's where I've seen it. Okay.
It's on Shudder, and it's from the same director who did The Beach House, which we both really liked.
That was that weird Lovecraftian one. Yeah. Okay. Moving down to our cast, we have Kaya Scodelario, who plays Haley in the film, gets her start in 2009 in Moon, follows it up with Clash of the Titans in 2010, Wuthering Heights 2011, True Love 2012, Now Is Good 2012, Spike Island, Skins Remake, Southcliffe, Walking Stories, The Maze Runner, Tiger House in 2015. Have you seen Tiger House, by the way?
No.
Do you remember the movie that Anchor Bay put out probably around the same time called The Aggression Scale about those guys that break into that house and that kid?
Oh, yeah.
Tiger House is the exact same thing with the little girl. It's almost like Becky before Becky.
Oh.
And it's really good.
Well, I wanted to give you props because you said her name very well.
I did?
I thought so. Kaya Scodelario.
Yeah.
You said it so effortlessly that I was like, did he say it right?
Fair enough. So Tiger House in 2015, Maze Runner, The Scorch Trials in 2015, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales in 2017, Maze Runner, The Death Cure, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile in 2019.
Yeah.
Same year as Crawl. Then does Spinning Out, The Pale Horse, Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, The King's Daughter, Don't Make Me Go, This Is Christmas, The Gentleman, not that one, it's a TV series in 2024, and Senna in 2024, which is also a TV series.
I kind of liked that Raccoon City Evil Dead.
It was fun.
Movie.
I mean, they combined like 4 games into one movie and did it well. As far as
it was fun. I thought. I was never a Resident Evil game player or movie fanatic. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it.
I want to revisit the Silent Hill movie, both of them, even though I know the second one's notoriously bad. But I want to revisit it.
You know, I've been to the real Silent Hill.
Oh, have you?
Centralia?
Yeah. Impressive?
Yes, but not for the reasons you're hoping.
Okay.
Like what you're hoping for when you go to Centralia. And I also went before they they put a fence up to keep you out of the abandoned section of highway, which was the best part.
Where everybody writes, right?
An insane amount of graffiti.
Yeah.
No inch uncovered in graffiti. But it was a cool trip, but like you're not going to get smoke billowing out of cracks in the earth or even a smell or whatever. It is, for those who don't know, Centralia is the town on fire.
Yeah.
The coal mine caught on fire and it's been burning for God knows how many years, 40 years, 50 years.
Same plot of Nothing But Trouble.
I mean, that was based on PA a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, did it take place in PA?
It might have. I can't remember.
Because I know that that Dan Aykroyd, that happened to him in PA when they were in the middle of the night. He got a speeding ticket and he was like, "Oh, I'll take the." Like, nope, you got to see the judge. And it was like 1 a.m. and they woke up the judge. And he saw him in his house.
Yep.
And he was like, "What is this place?" But that was in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I know that much. So I'm not surprised he went with the Centralia thing. Also, Aykroyd's weird, so he knows about Centralia. Weird. But it was a really interesting thing. But I will tell you that the cool thing, last point about Centralia, when I went with my buddy Michelle, is we didn't know where to go. I mean, we just went to Centralia and parked the car.
Yeah.
We found a cemetery. So we were walking around the cemetery a little bit. And then I went down a little like little ditch and up the ditch, like up a hill. And when I got to the top of the hill, all of a sudden just rose in front of me this giant stretch of highway that's like surrounded by trees. It doesn't connect to any roads anymore.
Yeah.
Because what happened was when the earth was shifting, it had broken the highway up a bunch. I forget which state route it was, but it had broken it up. So they moved the state route over. So there's a section of almost a mile of state route just in the middle of the bush.
Yeah. My God.
And it is like broken and all crazy looking. And I just remember going like, oh my God, because I just never seen anything.
It's probably
quite
a
like
sight.
that.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I mean, you can go on YouTube and see it all now. See, when I did that, it was like 10 years ago. And it was like not everybody could have a drone yet and stuff. So there weren't a bunch of things of it. But it was really interesting. We drove around. The thing that was most interesting about Centralia was that people still live there. Because the government was buying out people's homes to get them out. And some people were just like, fuck you. So there are houses that we saw that were duplexes.
Yeah.
And half the house is gone. So it's being held up with buttresses.
Wow.
Because they would demolish the house of the people who left.
Yeah.
But the people are like, I'm not leaving. That half of the house has to stay standing.
Yep.
If you ever get a chance, read the Wikipedia so you can hear all the people of Centralia just tell the government to like suck their pee-pee a bunch of times.
That's amazing.
It's pretty good.
I bet that's amazing. Moving through our cast, we also have Barry Pepper, who plays Dave in the movie. Gets it started in 1992, and A Killer Among Friends goes on to be in Mantis in 94, Neon Rider, Highlander the series in 95.
Ooh, with Gavin McLeod.
Sliders the series in 95.
I like Sliders.
Sliders is fun. The first time, so I'm going to tell you this, and you'll either laugh or you'll be sad like I was. The first time I wrote this, which is Lonesome Dove the series, it came out Lonesome Dave the series, and I was like, no one would watch that.
I would, but only for Schadenfreude. Lonesome Dave.
Dave, the series. Urban Safari in 95, The Outer Limits remake in 96, the Sentinel series, Titanic miniseries, Dead Silence in 97, Firestorm in 98. I need to show you Firestorm.
I'm down.
Howie Long is basically doing, you remember that movie?
Hoping you were going to say Howie Mandel,
no,
but I'll go.
No, it's Howie Long. Do you remember that movie, Those Who Want Me Dead, with Angelina Jolie, about like the fire on the mountain and the terrorists? Same thing with Howie Long.
Oh.
And if I remember correctly, you have, I think it's William Forsythe, and who else is it? I want to say it's Lance Henriksen, or like the baddies.
Nice.
It's a surprisingly fun movie. So Firestorm in 98, Saving Private Ryan in 98, Enemy at the Gates, or Enemy of the State in 98, The Green Mile in 99. So he's just got a slew of them right there.
Yeah.
Then Battlefield Earth in 2000. That's a movie.
I mean, I'm sure the check cleared.
61 in 2001, Knockaround Guys in 2001, We Were Soldiers in 2002, 25th Hour, The Dale Earnhardt Story, Ripley Underground, which apparently there's a third Mr. Ripley movie. Because you've got the talented Mr. Ripley,
right.
Ripley's Game with John Malkovich, and then Ripley Underground in 2005, where Barry Pepper plays Tom Ripley.
I'm going to be 100 with you. I didn't even know there was a second one.
You didn't know Ripley's Game?
Yeah.
John Malkovich plays Ripley, and it's actually really good.
Wow. I just feel like, can he really, after Sigourney Weaver, how did he
that
pull
Ripley.
it off?
That Ripley.
I
got
only one Ripley.
Yeah, only one Ripley. My apologies. Then Flags of Our Fathers, 2006, Unknown, 7 Pounds, Casino Jack, True Grit remake, The Kennedys, Broken City, Snitch, The Lone Ranger movie in 2013, Kill the Messenger, Maze Runner Scorch Trials, Monster Trucks in 2016, and I would like to give a defense for Monster Trucks. It was a kids movie that came out in 2016 about the monsters inside the cars. Super fun. It kind of got shit on a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. So that actually might come to the show. That's a really fun one. Maze Runner, Death Cure in 2018, Crawl in 2019, The Painted Bird, Running with the Devil, Awake, Creed 3 in 2023, and most recently, Lawman, Bass Reeves in 2023.
Okay. Hell.
And wrapping up our cast is Morfydd Clark, who plays Beth in the film. She gets her start in 2014's New Worlds, A Poet in New York, Madame Bovary, Arthur and George, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies in 2015.
I wanted that to be just bitchin'.
Excuse me, 2016.
I just didn't dig it like I hoped I would.
Killed the rest of it because we were supposed to get like Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters. Like they were going to do.
Oh, I didn't know about
movie
that.
adaptations of a couple other ones.
Yeah, because I know there were books.
Yeah.
Originally.
Yeah, and I read it, and I mean, I kind of knew that it had a little bit more in it, but yeah, it really just the zombies just felt really tacked on in the movie, even more so.
Weird.
Love and Friendship in 2016, Prevailing Winds 2016, Interlude in Prague, The Man Who Invented Christmas in 2017. Have you seen that, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, as much of a Christmas lover as you are, that movie's really fun.
I love that movie.
The Alienist, Patrick Melrose, Crawl in 2019, Saint Maud in 2019. The sister in the movie is Saint Maud, by the way.
No shit.
The one on the phone with the baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Saint Maud.
Shit.
The Eternal Beauty, His Dark Materials, Dracula, Steve Aker, Murder is Easy in 2023, and most recently, she is still on Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. The main character has 18 episodes under her name.
Oh, yeah, that is her, isn't it?
That is.
Yeah, that's totally her. Yeah.
So our first time watching this, I remember they pummeled us with trailers, not just in the theater, but on TV. I remember that shot of the alligator in the shower, like circling constantly, like when this was getting ready to come out. So, I mean, we were going to be there no matter what.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was exactly what we wanted. And it was a lot of fun.
I had a blast with it. I remember, and I had, as I was revisiting it, because I'd revisited it a couple other times too. I remember I showed it to Rachel, I showed it to a couple people. But watching it with the surround sound, because all the storm sounds and the rain sounds. And that's the thing with stereo that it's easy to not realize is like, if I take a microphone and I record the sound of rain, and then I take a microphone and I record the sound of rain somewhere else. Yeah. Like in the same space, but somewhere else. And then I put one on the left side and one on the right side. It may not sound different, but it is. And you feel surrounded.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's one sound. It feels like multiples. So now you do 5.1 channels, and the rain was just all around. The thunder would jump around the speakers.
Still cannot shake off when you put on the Halloween 4K, and it was the scene where they go to get Michael from Smith's Grove.
Yeah, the Dolby Atmos mix on that was ridiculous. I can't speak to how accurate to the original that Atmos mix is, but holy crap.
It's so incredible.
It was shaking my living room with the subwoofer. But it took me back to the theater very much, because I remember in the theater, that sound mix just rumbling us real good.
Yeah.
And I really had a blast with it. I remember when it was over, I was just like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, then I remember, I think we read a story that like they were doing 40 screenings of Crawl, and I was like, that sounds like hell.
Just putting alligators in there. But,
oh, God.
But they're all well fed, so they're just pooping everywhere.
Hey, you paid for it. Here's the experience.
Here you go, kids. 4D. Hey, that says 4 and DEE. It's different, but you'll like it. $15.
Anyway, here's an alligator.
Yeah, here's an alligator. I think I tied its mouth shut. I can't remember. I don't know. It's been a long day. It's only 7 a.m. I've been up for 6.
I've been up for 6. So we open in Crawl with meeting Haley Keller, and she is at the University of Florida. She's a professional professional athlete.
Not professional. She's a college
athlete. Yeah.
She's a college swimmer.
Yeah. And she's doing laps and everything. And she basically gets beat by the opponent. And that's kind of what starts her a little.
Yeah. She starts off. It's a great way to start the film, because we see she's really good.
Yeah.
And then we see her get beat. And then we kind of get to see that she's doubting herself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of there's a lot to like about this movie, but her character and then the way her and her father work.
Well, the intercut
really
right there
works
with her and her father, where it's just like, don't cry. Like, don't cry. This is, no matter what you do, don't ever let him see you cry. Like, you're going to get better. It's going to work out. I love Barry Pepper in this, for one.
Oh, he's so good. A perfect choice. And their relationship works really well. The speech he gives her is really great.
Yeah.
And about her. Mm-hmm. It's not even a speech about, like, it's about how he saw how talented she was.
The motivation for her is her, and I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good as shit.
Yeah.
It is. And that's what makes the movie so strong. And I love the idea, like, she's trying to get in the Olympics is what's going on here. So she's trying her best, and we see her fail. And I think that's a really valuable thing, because we get too obsessed as a culture with stories about characters that have too few flaws.
Yeah.
Or worse yet, their flaws are they're too good. Or they're too dedicated. They're too virtuous.
It's almost like it's their personality and they can't shake it, but that also makes the character unbearable sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, in reality, the flaw is you're boring.
Yeah.
But with her, seeing her lose tells us that she has room to grow and room to improve, and that she could be good enough.
Yeah.
Which is really important in a survival horror movie.
Oh my, yes.
To establish something like that. But then after she gets out of the pool, she gets a video call from her sister, who's like, "Are you out of there?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "The hurricane." And she's like, "It's supposed to pass us." And she's like, "You haven't been looking at your phone. It's not passing us anymore. It's coming right for us."
Right at you.
They're evacuating.
Category 5.
Yeah, which is, I think, is that the strongest?
The highest. So it is the highest, and it is the most dangerous. So, yeah, they are evacuating the area, and naturally, Haley gets the word from Beth that she hasn't been able to get a hold of their dad. And we also kind of get a sense right then and there that Haley and her dad aren't talking much.
Yeah, it seems like he's become kind of reclusive.
Yeah.
And which would make you even more worried.
Yeah.
When he's not answering his phone, but he's supposed to evacuate. And doesn't she make a reference like it's later. She's like, the dog is here. So he's not there. Evacuated.
So Beth begs Haley to go see her. And she's like, okay, I'll go out there and make sure he's okay. So she drives out, gets to a road, and that's when she runs into an old buddy, Wayne, who is one of the cops in the town, and he's basically like, hey, I can't let you through, like, oh, but also tell your sister I said hi, but yeah, it's too dangerous, but just turn back. And as she's getting ready to turn around, she just basically decides fuck it and goes into town because she wants to check on her dad. She knows the danger, and she even tells him that. So
I want to mention that a Category 5 hurricane, it's the highest category of hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale. They cause complete roof damage on most residences and industrial buildings. They can cause complete building failures, blow away entirely utility structures. And generally speaking, the wind speed on a Category 5 hurricane is over 157 miles per hour.
That's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot.
I mean, that's faster. Really think about for a second, like that's faster than you've probably ever driven a car.
You want to bet? I'm kidding.
I think I'd be impressed if you just had a car capable of going that fast, let alone the cojones to do it. But that's my point is like, imagine for a second, like I would be scared. A Category 1, in order to get to Category 1, the winds have to be 74 to 95 miles per hour. That's a speed that we could kind of acknowledge because like I've driven that fast. Yeah. That's really fast.
The reason that I remember Category 5, A, because I had grandparents that went to Florida all the time, but B, we had a guy when I was on my old team at my job requesting a Category 5 rated garage door. And I was like, homie, they don't make those.
It's made out of pure lead and concrete, and it doesn't open. And it's underground 18 feet. And I don't mean I mean like as in 18 feet or above it.
But also I was like, okay, yeah, you got a Category 5 garage door. What about the garage?
Yeah, that's like somebody saying like, that's like that old joke about like, if a plane crashes, only the black box is left. Make the whole plane the black box. Yeah, homie, you can't.
What he meant was a Wincode rated 5 door, but yeah, he put Category 5 rated. And I was just like, homie, that there's no such thing.
My brother, I am sorry to tell you. So I want a Category 5 rated Volvo. I just don't want it to be affected at all.
No, not at all. So Haley decides to drive out to the condo, and she gets there. She finds the family dog there is there, but her dad is not. And so she calls Beth, and she's like, "Dad's not here." And she's like, "Oh, he might be at the old house." And she's like, "Well, I thought he sold the old house," referring to their old family home.
Right.
And do we ever find out what happened to the mom? It just didn't work
divorced.
out. Yeah,
they like a lot of people. So I'm a product of divorce, and a lot of my friends who are a product of divorce, it usually happens either not always, but I've noticed that it often either happens really early on, like they just kind of notice pretty early on, like this ain't working, or it happens right after the youngest kid is out of the house.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Because now all of a sudden it's like, okay, we did our thing. We kept a good home for them. We worked together on it.
Yeah.
Now it's time for us to
do our thing.
We're tired of each other and we can't do it anymore. And a lot of other factors too, but I've just noticed that quite a bit. I have a lot of friends who they grew up with their parents together, but then like when they were like 18 or 19, like they were in college and it was like, I just got the word. My parents are Splitsville.
Yeah.
So that's what we're getting the vibe of there. And we've also gotten these little hints that her dad was not very emotionally available.
Yeah.
He had a business and he just kind of
focused
threw
on
all of himself into that.
Yeah.
And also, the big problem with the divorce happening when everybody's an adult is there can be a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking of this as like, you're an adult and you're thinking like, well, why didn't they just do better? And it's like, well, you may also be an adult, but they're like 30 years older than you. They probably have their reasons. I'm sure they didn't just do it for the lulls.
Yeah.
They're like, it was a goof.
Yeah.
We ended a marriage in 30
had their
years.
reasons.
Well, and her sister that she talks to on the phone seems to be pretty, annoyed with the dad who doesn't answer her calls and stuff very often. But she, as they establish, has her own young family.
Yeah.
She has a little girl who's like 4 years old or something.
Yep.
And I think she was even pregnant in the video call.
Yeah.
Which, great storytelling point. Why do a video call? Well, then you can tell even more of the story without without leaving, because we do occasionally, but we don't really leave the location of the storm.
No.
We leave the main character occasionally, but we're always in this place that's under threat of this massive hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
And the best thing in this film, I would say, is like characters followed immediately by setting. Because as the water rises and the hurricane is increasing and people are in boats and there's a gas station across the street and all this stuff, it becomes so foreboding and claustrophobic.
Yeah.
This idea that like this is a sprawling neighborhood with like a main road and a gas station. It should never feel isolated.
No.
And
Well,
all of a sudden, it's totally isolated.
and the one thing that I'll get into when we get into the trivia is Aja watched like hundreds of hours of hurricane footage and like researched them to like figure out the story point build on the weather. And you can kind of tell.
I mean, I think 100 is probably superfluous. I believe he watched 10 hours.
I'm just going by what IMDb says.
I'm not saying, I'm not calling you a liar. I'm saying you believe liars.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying like, I believe that he put a bunch of research in because it felt, especially for being a pretty fantastical concept with these alligators getting loose and just go into town and eat people. And anything that they can get their hands on. Well, their jaws on. I do think that it depicts that very well, but it just, that's my favorite part about watching that movie is getting into that creepy, there's water everywhere and we never know when the wind's going to pick up again. We don't know if people are if help can even come.
I mean, I got a little ahead of myself because when she goes to the condo first, she doesn't run into Wayne. That's when she's going into the house or into their old house because it's in a floodplain. It's in a flood zone.
It's in the non-optional evacuation.
She's literally pulling up to it and the houses by it are already like taking water from we can see because it just looks like houses in the middle of a pond.
It's already getting pretty bad. And I do love how she just says, well, and then just takes off.
Darts right off.
Well, he made the mistake of being honest with her. So when she says, like, would you at least check him? She's like, I'll try. Yeah. Because he knows how bad this is getting.
Yeah. So she takes the dog, goes over to the house, which is at Coral Lake. And like I said, a location that's at risk of flooding. And she goes into the house, nice house, like a 2-story house, has a basement and everything. She finds the house empty, but then makes her way out to the garage where the crawl space is.
Yes, the crawl space.
The crawl space.
The crawl space.
And
crawl space.
She goes down because she thinks she like hears voices. It turns out to be a weather radio or just a regular radio. And she makes her way through the crawl space and then finds her dad basically mauled in one section of the crawl space.
Yeah. And it's terrifying.
It's very terrifying.
And that's when we basically figure out that he had come to try and prepare the house so it wouldn't get destroyed.
Make sure that the house wouldn't take water as bad and everything. And we're down in the crawl space and seeing that there's a lot of access to the sewer and other things that may come into play or later.
Well, and that's the other thing about, now I've never been through a hurricane.
Yeah.
I mean, I live too far inland, although that last hurricane that hit North Carolina, we got crazy weather.
Got a lot of fucking
all
rain.
the way over here. We got like this crazy amount of rain. But that's the other thing about hurricanes that's so scary. We just talked about 157 mile per hour winds, but then there's the flooding. And that's a whole other ballgame because sometimes it floods a little, sometimes you basically join the ocean.
Well, and sometimes the wind mixed with the flooding will take those waves and ram them right against things and break them even further.
It's there's so many things to worry about, let alone the alligators.
The alligators. But wait, there's more.
Don't worry, kids. We've got alligators for days.
So she attempts to drag him out. She's got him on like a tarp and she's pulling him to. And then we get to what the scene that I remember the most, even in theater, was because it feels like you're in a video game where she is approaching the stairs. The dog's barking at the top of the stairs. She's pulling her dad. And then all of a sudden the fucking stairs give way and an alligator just rams through. Like, it is like a video game cutscene.
Oh, yeah. No, it was because it's a jump scare, like in the middle of doing a task.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's she's right there at safety, and then this thing just burst right through.
And I also want to say, props to Aja for putting this adorable dog in to make us constantly worry about the dog going to get chomped.
It. Yeah. So the alligator naturally attacks her. And throws her around and everything, and she gets mauled herself a little bit and thrown to the side and separated from her dad.
Yes.
So some time passes. She comes to, and or does he save her? Or does she save him? I can't remember.
No, he saves her because we think he's completely out.
Yeah.
And then, he kind of comes alive and helps her.
Yeah. So they end up retreating back to where she found him, and that is an area because the alligator can't enter, because he even basically says, like, it found me. I try to go back here where it can't enter because there's these pipes all throughout the crawl space.
Yeah.
And the alligator can get through some areas, and some areas it can't.
From what I've heard, alligators, when it comes to swimming, they're not great at maneuvering.
Yeah.
And that's why they stick to generally like swamps and they stick to larger bodies of water. Plus, these are big boys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not little ones, which also makes sense because the larger alligators are going to have bigger appetites, and they're also used to getting a lot of food. Yeah. And they're used to getting like whatever they want because they're the biggest.
Yeah.
So why would the little tiny alligators even care? But in a big storm like this, it's a feeding frenzy.
Feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
And we should also mention, too, that she stepped into mud, poop, whatever it is, and she was picking her shoes off at one point, too.
Oh, yeah.
So
a little John McClane action.
Yeah. So she's barefoot now. In the attack, she also lost her phone, and she tells her dad that she's going to go try to find the phone. And that's when she encounters another alligator.
Yes. And I got to be honest, I don't remember if the trailer gave away that there were a bunch of alligators. I think it made us think there was
maybe
one.
Two at most, but it didn't. And I mean, so she's now face to face with the second alligator. It attacks her leg, breaks her phone. So now she's also injured with her dad, has no phone, and the rain is still going. The flooding is still continuing.
Well, and as they're observing their surroundings and stuff, they're starting to realize, like, what good would the phone even do
at this point?
Like,
yeah.
Nobody's going to get you out of there anytime soon.
So it gets to the point where we see how high the flooding is because the radio has now also taken water. Like it's sitting on this little like crevice near the brick and everything, and it's like touching it. She's trying to get somebody's attention, and she sees across the street at the convenience store these nice three kids that are robbing the convenience store.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll give them a pass. Well, not only because, spoiler, they get chomped to death. But I'll give them a pass because, like, as you're taking the Frito-Lays and stuff from that store, it's like, what? Are somebody going to eat these? They're getting destroyed by a hurricane.
But, I mean, we do meet them loading the fucking ATM into their boat.
What are they going to do? Spend the money after the hurricane?
Speaking of ATM, oh my God, I got to tell you this.
Oh, man, I hope you mean automatic teller machine.
So, I have my court cam bullshit. That when we did our live stream, I was on your couch watching court cam before we were getting ready to do so.
I appreciate that you're willing to talk about this, but just for the heads up, this is not your priest that you're confessing this to. No, I remember.
So Court Cam is a show on A&E that is literal court cam footage of trials all throughout the years and everything, but just wild things happening. I've finished everything. Like I think I watched all 12 seasons.
I reached the end of the internet.
So naturally, Hulu is like, hey, we think you might like these, and I used to think that True TV, crime, court TV, all that shit was like the bottom of the barrel. A&E has gotten there.
I mean, or you could just go on YouTube and find what they're pulling from.
Exactly.
Like it's boy howdy.
So not only that, but we have Neighborhood Wars, we have Customer Wars, we have all these shows. But then I found one called Caught, which is all kinds of hidden, not hidden, but security cam footage, police vests, people's cell phones, all this stuff. And there was a section about heist, in particular, ATM heists. And there was a hilarious clip. I think it might have been Beijing. I can't remember. But there's two people that are trying to break into the store and rob this, like take this ATM out using bricks.
Oh my God.
Dude goes to throw the brick, not realizing his buddy is walking right in front of him, clocks him right in the back, and he's knocked out. And the last part of the clip is him dragging him to the car because the heist is now failed.
You think? See, I'm a man of class and culture. That's why when I was on Max looking for garbage,
oh God,
I started watching Exposed, Naked Crimes,
yeah,
which is just about crimes where people were in the nude.
There's My Strange Arrest was one that caught my attention. Hotel Hell, which is not the Gordon Ramsay show. It's like an actual true story of like true crime hotel incidents.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but yeah, if you are looking for some fun stuff, Court Cam and Caught, two shows I highly recommend.
Yeah, fun.
Also Customer Wars and Neighborhood Wars has been pretty interesting.
Jeez.
Neighborhood Wars is petty. Fucking petty.
You don't say.
Dude, I've seen so many fences taken down with construction equipment by the other neighbor. It is insane.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Man, I think as a homeowner, I am constantly looking at my fence and going, when it's done rusting, whose is it?
Whose is it?
I don't even know who these fences belong to.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So she retreats back to a safe space, and that's when she's telling her dad, we've got to figure out what to do. See the looters across the street, and she gets a flashlight, starts trying to signal them, and we see one of the looters come forward because he sees it, and he's like, I think somebody needs help over there. Meanwhile, we've already seen that the alligators may be approaching the convenience store.
Maybe.
With underwater footage ripped straight from Jaws POV.
Well, in defense of those alligators, they probably just wanted some scratch-offs because they were like, look how lucky we are with all this meat just floating around.
Yeah.
We should really press our luck and get a couple of scratch-offs.
So we see one of my favorite attacks in the movie, just because we don't see it to the clearness that we could, is the kid's approaching the house because he sees the flashlight, and his other accomplice is in the back loading the ATM, and he's like, I think somebody needs help. And she's like, what? I think there's something in the water. So then he's approaching the flashlight, and she's like, there's alligators in the water, is what Haley's shouting to them. When he turns back, his other friend is just being mauled in the boat by this alligator.
Yeah.
And we see it like just behind him. Like, it's not in a clear shot. Even when he turns around, the body's getting pulled in at that point. And I just love that sneak attack from the back. So then he goes up to the other, because there's another friend in the convenience store, tries to get his attention. He sees his body just completely thrown against the glass at that point, and then the alligator's already in the convenience store.
He's like, well,
yeah,
I think that that's going to be the end for me.
So the three looters are gone. They are no longer any help to Haley and her father.
Or to, whatever
Anyone
Walmart they were
at this
going to buy
point.
50 TVs from with that ATM money.
So by this point, we also see that the flooding has gotten even more extreme, and Wayne and his partner, the cops from earlier, are in a boat now coming to check on Haley and her father because he hadn't seen her come back through. So he's like, what's going on? They enter the house. They find nothing. But then if that dog is not barking right at that crawl space, so Wayne goes to check it. But meanwhile, his partner doesn't even make it in the house because he is devoured in like the streets right outside the house.
Yeah.
By like multiple.
Well, what are they going to do? Like share?
Well, I love the tease of it because he's by the swing set and we see the swing is like pulling away and everything, like something's caught on it. And then all of a sudden it breaks free and then he's Chomp Town.
He's chomped. I like that. Like one of the alligators is like Guy Fieri. He's got the hair in the
We're
sunglasses.
rolling out.
My favorite spot to grab a bite. It's not diners, drive-ins. It says dinos, drive-ins, and dives. We're basically dinosaurs.
So he is torn to pieces. Meanwhile, Wayne gets to the crawl space. He's calling out to Haley and Dave. The dog is barking, and they're trying to warn him, but then that alligator comes right up and pulls him down into the crawl space.
That big old alligator.
Big fucking head.
Did you ever watch Swamp People?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
I loved Swamp People. That was one of the best shows.
What was the one you introduced me to? Was it Mountain Men?
Oh, yeah. That's great, too.
Yeah.
Not related to alligators, but a great show.
Yes.
But no, I just, every time I see an alligator, I still, like, out of habit, I just go, there's a big old alligator over there.
So Wayne is out of commission at this point. Just a little bit.
A smidgen. Well, let's put it in a kinder way in case his family is listening. He went to Flavor Town. So by this point, the water is just climbing in Flavor Town. Yes, indeed. It sure is.
So the water's climbing. It's getting to the point where like they can barely keep their heads up. I mean, like that's how much space they have.
I thought you meant they're so depressed.
Oh, they're so depressed.
Just barely keep their heads up.
So Haley decides that she's going to make it an effort to get out of the house and try to get help, but also get back into the house to try and see if she can free her father because they have no way out. They're trapped in this crawl space. The alligator's down there, and also the steps are gone.
Yeah, the water's rising and rising and rising. And luckily, there's a good amount of drainage in there, but it's only going to last so long. And even more so because she has to find a drain pipe that she goes into the sewer hold. Well, that's actually one of my favorite minor exchanges. Is he's telling her, she's like, he's like, all right, you're going to want to get to the wet wall and you can take it up. And she's like, all the walls are wet. And he's like, it's the wall with all the pipes running the water.
Yeah.
Which I just thought was just a great little touch because he's built houses.
Yeah.
So he's like, the wet wall. And she's like,
So she ends up swimming into a storm drain where she discovers that the alligators not only have made a home there, but they've also laid a lot of eggs.
Yes.
A lot of eggs.
Or as we call them in bodybuilding, pure protein.
Pure protein.
No, there are big
eggs.
Alligator eggs.
And even like 3 of them she find are already broken open.
Well, and that's just bad because that means that they're entirely territorial.
Yeah.
Because obviously in this storm, they're not going to be threatened by the alligators breeding.
No.
But I mean, for God's sake, like when we were driving back from the movies, just one of those geese sitting on its eggs in the near middle of the parking lot being super aggressive. I had a goose once chase my car.
Oh my God.
Like, it was just like, get away from my eggs. I'm like, I am a car. Like, I'm in a car. Like, I mean, number one, I'm not even messing with you, but number two, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, it could do some shit, but I don't know about a car.
To a car?
Yeah.
No, it hurt. It could beat the hell out of me.
Yeah.
You know? You underestimate me, David. Maybe for the last time.
I've never seen you fight a goose. My bad.
Oh, you must have been really drunk that night then.
Geese.
Oh my gosh.
So that is when she comes in contact with another alligator, which we lose track of them at this point. So there's 5 that attack Wayne's partner at that.
There's plenty.
Yeah,
so there's plenty to go around, kids.
So she gets attacked by one. She's fighting it off, and luckily, speaking of Wayne, finds his body in this area.
Oh, thank goodness.
So this is where they're hoarding all the bodies at this point, along with the eggs, and she ends up finding Wayne's gun. The alligator attacks her, biting onto her hand, but she has the gun in her hand, and she blows that thing's head off.
Do you know a lot about alligators?
I mean, a little bit.
Do you know why they stash bodies? So this is actually real. Alligators like to put dead things if they feel like they're safe.
Yeah.
They'll put dead things like in a root or whatever, so they stay under the water and let them soften. They'll let the water soften them and then come back when they're easy to eat.
That makes sense.
I don't know if that's a thing they also do for feeding their young. Probably is.
Could be, yeah.
But the two things I really know about alligators are the death roll, which is mortifying.
Terrifying.
And that they'll stash things underwater, and also they may be full at that time.
Yeah,
because alligators, they're amphibians, and amphibians will eat a ton, and then not eat for weeks, and then eat a ton, and then not eat for weeks. But when I heard that they'll like put something under a root and just let it soften in the water, I was like,
that's terrifying.
I mean, yeah, but that's why they're stashing bodies.
Yeah.
They're at this point, the smorgasbord is too generous. So like, here, let me put it in a way because I want you to fully understand it.
Yeah.
So stashing a body underwater to the alligators is similar to when you line your pockets, you specifically, with plastic and go to the Golden Corral.
Golden Corral, yes.
Yeah, and you're just filling your pockets with peel and eat shrimp.
Or when I literally got hothead a couple nights ago, didn't eat all my burritos, so I wrapped it up, and then the next night I just put it into a bowl and just like stirred it up and then microwaved it.
I mean, that'll do it.
It was good.
I
was worried about like reheating like the like with the sour cream and whatnot. Like
I would just eat it cold.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have done that.
But you hadn't had your shower wine yet. So
and I also hadn't listened to The Great Gig in the Sky. That's usually when I eat cold food, I gotta be depressed all the way.
Aw, wait, hey, hold on. I can't let that fly. No. Hear me out. Is eating cold leftovers from a restaurant depressing?
No.
I don't know. I just wanted, because to me, like, that's not sad because like it was brand new great food like 2 days ago. Of course, it was really old is one thing, but like, no, like eating a cold can of green beans out of the can, that's
sad.
That's depressing on a Thursday night after you just couldn't stand editing podcasts anymore. But I would know.
Not waiting for the Hot Pocket to completely eat and just deciding to eat it as it is.
Okay, that's fucking sad.
Or no. I remember the one dish I made that broke you during quarantine was spaghetti tacos. Where I just took banquet TV dinner spaghetti. And,
that's what makes it sad.
Yes, and put it into hard shell tacos.
Oh, to hard shells. Okay, because for a second when I thought it was regular tortillas, I was like, so it's like you took a trip to the Depression Piata.
Trying to think of how I can combine Fazoli's and Taco Bell.
It's called piata.
I mean, yeah, I guess you're right.
You've had piata, right?
Yeah. We've had piata numerous times.
I don't actually like the literal piata because it's like just it feels like a burrito with pasta in it. I like the pasta fine.
The bowls are great.
But no, yeah. If you combine Taco Bell with Fazoli's, it's basically piata.
I mean, there's also a status during quarantine where I basically discovered the magic of microwave burritos and scotch. That is a Facebook status that still exists out there.
Would you look at the burrito and you look at the scotch and you're like, 2015. Then you look at the burrito like, 2017. Mighty good years. Yes. What were the notes you got from the microwave burrito?
From the JMB.
You're just like, I'm getting like an oaky finish. And what is that on the front end? Is that that is sodium benzoate.
Yeah. Oh, for the Philly cheesesteak Hot Pocket, not bad.
And then, of course, the room note is your farts.
Yeah.
So
at that point, yeah.
Is the gas.
My God.
That's
quarantine.
one thing I got to tell you. Like, I don't often... There are 2 times in life where I feel truly genetically blessed.
Yeah.
And because I don't generally feel very genetically blessed. And that is my teeth, which are not naturally straight.
Yeah.
That was a really long
We talked about
work,
that.
but they are surprisingly healthy and resistant to cavities. I mean, I take care of them as well, but I have good saliva and stuff. But the other one is whenever I eat like really hot food with like my friends who are of a Caucasian variety.
You mean like a freaking sweet mango?
Well, yes. But people will just
That's
be like,
very hot.
oh my God, that was the funniest thing. You should describe that real quick. Because
dear listeners, we have a tradition.
I want to hear you describe it.
We have a tradition where basically when we end the Wasteland on Saturday, we go to a really awesome restaurant. I mean, I've already said it, Sweet Mango.
Yeah, after a movie convention.
Yeah, after a movie convention, and time was no different. And Henrique decided to get the hot oils for what was the dish you got? I mean, you get it all.
Oh, I didn't get pad thai that time. I think I got drunken noodles.
Yeah, and so the hot oils. Please describe the hot oils.
Oh well, it's hot oil.
Yeah.
So it's chili flakes cooked in hot oil that infuses the oil.
Yeah,
it's actually more of a chili crunch because it has chilies in it that add a crunch to it. I love really, really hot food.
He does.
And it's important to mention, being Hispanic and growing up eating lots and lots of authentic Mexican food and stuff like that, I'm used to a lot of heat anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But Asian food often takes it to a new level.
Yeah.
Often. Like Thai food, Indian food, Sri Lankan food, like will get really spicy.
Yeah.
Which I love. But on top of everything, because there have been legendary stories of me going to Sweet Mango and eating such hot food that
you had auditory hallucinations.
I started hearing things.
Yeah, I was there.
But this time was more dangerous because while I may not look it, I have been eating slightly healthier. And when I eat at home and I'm eating healthy food, the amount of hot sauce and hot peppers I cook with is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, my baseline tolerance goes up, which should be concerning because it's always high. But now all of a sudden it's like, no, you don't understand. Like I'm putting like habanero sauce into oatmeal sometimes in the morning.
I'm not surprised.
Like, but eventually, like I get that bad to where I'm like, I almost don't want anything to be not spicy.
Yeah.
I had never been to Sweet Mango after like 6 months of building up my tolerance unintentionally. So I'm eating my food and it's not very hot. So I asked for chili oil and she hands it to me and I'm not even going crazy with it. I just took one scoop. It's a little tiny spoon. It honestly was like a spoon you eat a grapefruit with.
Was it the first time or the second time?
No, that was the first time.
Okay, that was the first time.
She hands me like, oh, thank you. And I started, she goes, it's very hot.
Very hot. Yeah.
Like she looked terrified for me. But I don't think it was just because it's so spicy, although it is and really delicious. But I think it was also because she was afraid I was going to like ruin my food and they're going to have to bring me more.
Yeah.
They'd feel bad. But so I was, and this, like I said, spoonfuls are not that big. So I'm just kind of jizzing it around. But eventually I'm like, who am I kidding? And I just put the whole thing in there. And I asked for a second one. And she was like, you sure?
Yep.
And I was like, please bring me one more.
Yep. I was waiting for you to get one to go in the car for the donuts.
Well, I almost did because I picked up some food for our buddy Ryan from TerrorVision because he was working in his hotel room. And his instructions were pineapple fried rice with chicken, Thai spicy.
Yeah.
Or Thai hot.
Thai hot. Yeah.
And you know what Thai hot is?
Yeah.
It's obscenely hot.
So I've seen a dish that was like damn near red when it came out, being Thai hot.
So I almost thought about going, could you give me a cup of that? Because I know how much he loves hot food.
Yeah.
But to go back to my original point, I have all these friends who will also down really hot food, but they'll be like, I'll be paying for that tomorrow or whatever. And I'm like, doesn't happen to me. My body just, it's like, I'm like in Mars Attacks when they just like capture the nuclear bomb and then like huff it for fun. That's me with spicy food. It almost never causes intestinal issues. Although I did feel like really hot in my chest and stomach for about 4 hours, which I like that.
Did you feel it when we were smoking the cigars afterwards?
Not afterwards. I mean, I was already feeling it.
Okay.
I mean, I was feeling it when I went to bed. It was funny. All I took was one Pepsid AC before I went to bed, which honestly is more about how much I ate so late at night
That's
than
fair.
it was even the spice. And that's not a brag.
No.
This food's very, very hot.
Yeah.
I just like it.
Believe me, I've had your burrito before. I know how you like spicy things.
Yeah, you got what you fucking deserve.
I did.
So I'm just saying, so the one genetic blessing is I don't think about like, boy, it's going to make me sick. It's like, if my tongue can survive it, the rest of me is set.
I get that. I get that. So Haley, by this point, has killed one of the alligators with Wayne's gun, and she realizes that her dad is going to drown if she does not get him out of the crawl space. So she swims out of a flooded street through a storm drain and enters the house. And the dog, of course, greets her. Because we did forget to mention, there's a lot that happens in the crawl space, but one of the things is that she tries to go through a hatch that her dad has in the house, but there's a table on top of it.
Yeah. Because that would have been so much easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's stuck in there.
So by this point, we see that Dave is taking water. He's almost about to drown, and she's just taking a crowbar to the floor of the house and popping up these floorboards, and then reaches down and grabs him and gets him out.
Just in time.
Just
like in the
time.
nick
Like
of time.
He is sinking to the floor of the crawl space.
Yeah, he's starting to drown.
Yeah. So she gets him out of the crawl space, and that is when they take the dog and they make their way to a boat outside. But as they're doing this, the rain stops.
Oh, good.
No, because we find out they're in the eye of the storm. And the eye of the storm is basically when the storm recenters itself in a sense.
Well, it's when you get to the center of the storm, the winds aren't as bad. It's very calm because, I mean, you can see from space when they photograph a hurricane, you can see the eye.
Yeah.
There's just not as much going on right in that middle.
Yeah.
So it's always eerily calm. But the big problem with the eye is once you exit it, it's bad again.
You're back
like
again.
Real bad. And you don't know when. It could be minutes or, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 6 minutes.
And to add to this, the eye of the storm also is a point where we start to hear an alarm, not unlike our friends in Hard Rain, that the levee is about to break.
Was it the levee in this?
The levee.
It was a levee.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I you know what's fun? I usually don't think of levee in the context of the ocean.
Yeah.
But they have things to block the water, obviously.
So the levee's going to break, and that is when they crash into them, putting them right back into the house, but also separating them.
Whoa.
And bringing more alligators right into the house.
Well, I mean, it's the only place in Flavortown that's got any action, and also it's on top of their god. I love the reveal that there's a nest there, which means it's their territory.
Yeah.
Which means that they had a claim to it even before the storm.
Well, and we can back up too for a second to the nest, because we did miss one thing that we already hinted about is right before she goes away from Dave, her father, she's afraid, and she's afraid. She doesn't know if she can do it. And they have this heart to heart, specifically with him going to her and basically saying, you've done these things. Like you were the one that I can fill it in, but before that, I mean, she reveals that she believes she ruined their marriage. Yep.
And he's straight up like, no,
we just didn't work.
And your mom deserved to find some happiness. I was not making her happy. It was selfish that I always wanted her to stay.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel as bad when she was staying because you kids were still in the house. I would be like, well, we're just keeping it together. So the moment you guys were gone, I couldn't do it to her anymore.
And he even admits that he never tried to sell the house. He couldn't bring himself to do it.
Yeah, which I kind of suspected.
Well, I mean, when we see the house, there's like the measurements on the walls and everything. Like he's got so many memories tied up in this house, and that's what he even says. He's like, I can't sell this house. She's like, it's just a house. He's like, it's not just a house. Like these are our memories.
And it's easy to, since he works repairing houses, it's easy to be like, well, I got to fix it up.
Yeah.
And then it just takes forever, because he could literally do everything there. He could redo the drywall and then be like, oh, I gotta redo the electric. Oh, I gotta do this. So he could just keep it for as long as humanly possible because he doesn't want to move on.
Yeah.
But the speech the part he said to her after he was like, I can't believe you think it's your fault. It's not your fault. I'm the one at fault. And she even says like, well, when, what about you? You deserve to be happy. He's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Which is really a sad moment.
It is sad.
But it's also important because the fact that he could admit that to her, that he feels that badly about himself, is a moment that he could grow from.
Yeah.
But then he tells her, he's like, oh man, I'll get emotional. But he's like, the reason I'm confident that you got this, that you can't give up is I remember when you couldn't hold your breath at the pool and you got really upset and we came home and I was like, it'll be okay. And you were so mad. And I was like, don't give up. It'll be okay. And then I heard a sound and I came downstairs because I thought we had a burglar.
Yeah.
And I look outside and it's you taking big breaths and dunking yourself in the water at 2 a.m. She's a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, is why pools are more deadly than firearms and cars for children, because you will drown in a pool.
Yeah.
But
just look at Mikey's sister.
Oh, well, that was her fault.
Jesus.
No, but so he says that, like, I saw you dunking yourself until you could do it with your own motivation.
Yeah.
Nobody told you to do that. And he was like, and that was when I knew, like, this girl's a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's hard to, because it's a really great scene. And it's a great scene that makes you truly want these characters to win.
Yeah.
No matter how fun and silly the concept of killer alligators in a hurricane is.
Yeah.
These are real people.
These are real people, and they're written so well, and they have a human sense about them. They're not just throwing one-liners around and whatnot. They're working together. They're being sentimental. It's good writing.
One time, I a friend I would talk about movies with, this is years ago, was talking about how the thing he hated in thrillers was that, like, when they would try to be heavy or try to give you something like that, that you'd be like, but it's always so, like, it's always so thin, you know, it's like a few scenes. It's like, you don't really earn it. And I was like, you're right. It should be like Steel Magnolias.
Mm-hmm.
It should be 3 hours. I love Steel Magnolias, but my point is, like, yeah, you're right. It should be 3 hours of character development and then also a hurricane and some, like, and alligators or like a Die Hard situation.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
come on, man. They're trying to balance it.
One of my all-time favorite feeds of dialogue in character development is Wishmaster, where the sister is with her in the room, and she's just like, oh, are you smoking again? Like, you know, you shouldn't be so stressed about that. She's like, hey, you saved me from the fire, but I didn't get mom and dad out.
Yeah, no, I mean, but, you know, even with something that cheesy,
it gives you everything.
What they're trying to do is give you a character that matters, but not take you out of the story you showed up for.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It didn't say, you know, crawl and sad dad.
Yeah.
Like, it's a
Wishmaster and therapy.
You know. Yeah, it doesn't, you know, you'll wish for higher level Anthem Blue Cross, so it'll pay for your therapy. Granted. But that's my point, is, like, I think they did a good job of pacing this out to give you what we need to get to know them.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can only get so much because it's a 87-minute movie about a killer storm full of killer alligators.
Yeah.
We're not going to derail the whole thing.
No.
Because imagine how much people would complain.
Oh, yeah.
If they were like, it's 2 hours, 30 minutes of it was just the mom and the dad talking to his daughter. It's like they're giving you more.
Yeah.
And they're thinking it through. And honestly, it was very subtle overall. Like, but at the end of the day, it's like, you can't expect the most intricate and subtle characterizations when you want a 90-minute creature feature. Yeah. So they're giving, in my opinion, they did a phenomenal job with it. And that made me care.
Yeah.
And little things like that can make a really big difference, especially if you're like a stupid softie like me. Like Friday the 13th Part 4.
Mm-hmm.
What's the guy who's in the woods who says he's hunting bear? I can't remember his name.
I can't think of his name either. Yeah.
But when he gives that little speech about, like, my sister was killed and stuff, I feel for him because Jason's killed a bunch of people at that point in the series. Yeah. Now, of course, I feel like they kind of did him dirty with how quickly he got dispatched, but that's a whole other conversation. But I remember, like, liking that and being like, oh, I'm having, like, a human connection feeling in this Friday the 13th movie.
Well, it's like the same thing that I could say for Humanoids from the Deep. I mean, there is humanity in that movie, even though, like, it does have humanoids. Yeah. But no, there is humanity in that movie because the whole thing with the monsters is coming after this whole town being against each other for this cannery opening, and also the racism too.
No, that one's like a great example of, like, that's all about subtext.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a cause movie, which Corman loved doing back then, those, especially. Yeah. And that's a whole other kind of can of worms.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was really well done. They did a great job with it. And that's the thing. A lot of nature run amok movies, usually they're either about nature being kind of an allegory for what happens when you mess with nature, what happens when you do whatever, and how it could come back to get you.
Yeah.
It's usually either an allegory for that, or it's an allegory for, like, destiny, an allegory for the challenges that life will bring you that you're not expecting, and how you have to rise to the occasion of any challenges that come your way.
Yeah.
And, you know, perhaps I'm overthinking it, but I really do feel like, for the most part, with disaster movies, although this is a disaster monster movie, with disaster movies, that's kind of the point, is like, no matter, like, when we talked about Hard Rain, like, that's the whole thing, is it's like, oh yeah, you made a plan, but, like, none of the storm clouds that don't give a shit about your plans. It all comes back to, like, that old saying I always loved, which is, how do you make God laugh? Make a plan.
Make a plan.
I always like that.
That's
I always
solid.
thought, that's a great, saying, whether you're a religious person or not, because, that it's like, oh, that's a good way of saying shit happens when you party naked.
So speaking of hard rain, we are now into the hard rain section of Crawl because there is no ignoring the fact that these last 10 minutes are very hard rain-esque.
Yes, and I'll give them I'll cut them some slack. It's a flood movie, just like Hard Rain.
Yeah.
How far can you go different when it comes to surviving a flood? Of course, in Hard Rain, there were crooks to escape. In this one, it's alligators.
I mean, the alligators are basically Randy Quaid and Morgan Freeman in this.
I find most alligators are pretty much Randy Quaid.
So Dave and the dog make their way upstairs. Alligator attacks them right away. So we already have, I think 3 alligators in the house that we know of right off the bat.
Yeah.
So he gets bitten on his forearm, and that's when Haley navigates around the kitchen because she is trying to not alert herself, but also get to the police radio that we see that's floating in the water.
Yes. Excuse me.
We're both having issues tonight.
I just got over some kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a cold or what, but it's pretty much, thank God it's over.
Yeah. So we even get faked out a couple times, we think something's in the water, and eventually there is. An alligator closes in on her, but she traps it by swimming into the bathroom and swimming around the bathroom stall, which is one of the most famous scenes in the movie.
Well, it's brilliantly shot.
Yeah.
The bird's eye view of the whole thing happening. Really intense and creepy.
Super intense. I mean, she literally shuts the door with it in there, climbs over it real quick, and this thing is just trapped behind a glass door that's going to give way any second.
Yeah, any second. Well, and that's that's something Aja is really great at.
Yeah.
That I think gets lost when you look at the hot tension.
Mm-hmm.
Hot tension, literally tension's in the title. There's tons of tension in it.
Yeah.
But because it was so extreme, that tends to be what everybody remembers.
Yeah.
When in reality,
the twist.
But when in reality, it was also just masterfully made. That's why Aja hasn't been pigeonholed as only the extreme horror guy.
Well, even the Hills Have Eyes remake has so many different things about it from the original that makes it its own movie, but still respects that original property. And that's kind of hard to do.
I agree. Although I mean, nothing against that movie or his directing on it, but he was a very obvious choice.
Yeah.
Based on hot tension to have him come and do the Hills Have Eyes.
The Hills Have Eyes remake holds up. 2 I haven't seen in a good while, but I was never really a big fan of.
The original 2?
No, I know. I know the original. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait, I think I watched it with you.
Maybe. We probably did it back to back.
Ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a military, it's kind of like a Wrong Turn 2-esque.
I don't know if I've seen it.
Okay. I'd be willing to revisit it. It's been a while.
Well, geez, David.
So she's got this thing slammed inside the shower door, and she tries to make her way to the attic. She's attacked by another alligator at this point, and attempts to kill her with a death roll, which is what I think the first death roll we get in the movie, but in close up too.
Yeah.
But she is ready because she luckily has some flares on her that she found when she was out rooting around, and takes one of those and sticks it right in that fucker's eye.
Yeah, she does.
Lights it, sticks it right in the eye. So by this point, she has to navigate back into the attic again, avoids another alligator, but eventually makes it on top of the roof with her father and the dog.
Hey, Dave. So when you shove something up somebody's ass, it's called Tuesday Night, but it's called Where the Sun Don't Shine.
Yeah.
If you shove something into something or somebody's eyes, would that be Where the Sun Does Shine? I got him right where the sun does shine.
I like that. That's solid.
No, it's not. I'm just really stupid.
So they're all reunited on the roof at this point, and that's when we see a helicopter fly overhead. They've received Haley's call that she made with the radio, and she lights a flare, flags it down, and that's when her and her father look at each other. They've got triumph. They're relieved, and the movie ends right then and there. That is 2019's Crawl.
The image, because it ends with her basically, honestly, when I watched it today, she's almost like the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
She's standing there holding it up, and she's looking really dominant and tall, and she saved her dad, which when that arm bite happened,
oh my God,
really looked like he was going to die.
Vicious.
Really looked like he was going to die.
Yeah.
And of course they teased having the dog almost die a bunch
the
of
entire
times.
time. I got some trivia about that.
So, well, and that's the thing though, is I think Aja really is a guy who's got his finger on the pulse of how to do a great thriller that can be accessible. Because this, again, I could show my mom this. Yeah. She'd be really scared.
Yeah.
Because it's very scary.
But she also showed you New Nightmare and Dawn of the Dead. Well, brought those home to you to show her.
I mean, she didn't show me, but no, mom can take a lot of the credit for Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
The moment she found out I liked Freddy Krueger, because my sister would show me tapes, she was just like, oh, New Nightmare just came out. I'm going to go get it at Blockbuster. I'm going to call ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
fair.
I still remember eating pizza on the floor watching that with my mom. That was a fun time.
So would you like to guess what the budget was on Crawl?
So my instinct would be really low, but we didn't mention this was Sam Raimi produced.
Yeah, Sam Raimi produced.
Famous for Evil Dead, and we covered one of his lesser known but incredible movies, A Simple Plan.
Yes.
So I'm going to guess because they tended to be a little higher budget when he was producing than you'd expect. So I'm going to guess closer to 15.
You're right on the nose. 13 and a half to 15 is the estimation.
Okay, because my initial guess would have been like 7 or 8. But Raimi always tends to bring a little bit more budget.
A little bit.
And also, this movie's from 2019. And it's kind of like what I've been saying about how sometimes you can look at stuff from like 2017.
Yeah.
And we're 2025. So yeah, it's almost 10 years, but it's not that long ago. And you can see how much cheaper things look. So I do want to say that I think if they did that movie today, they could probably do it cheaper just because of the advances in technology.
I would say
because they obviously had to use a lot, and you'll probably know more about it in the trivia you researched. But they probably had to use a lot of matte techniques and CGI in order to make this entire flooded world because it would be insanely expensive.
Just wait till I get into that. So, 13 and a half to 15 million is the budget. Opening weekend, which is July 12th, 2019, brings in 12 million.
Nice.
Worldwide ends up grossing $91 million.
That's a hit.
Yeah. So it was filmed in Belgrade, Serbia?
Yeah,
Belgrade, Serbia. Production took place in a warehouse facility. Within the facility, 3 sound stages were equipped with the largest one, an exterior house in the neighborhood, another one for the house, exterior and interiors, first and second floor, also used for underwater filming, and a third stage for the basement and roof scenes. Barry Pepper mentioned that the warehouses were the size of football fields and that the houses, gas stations, and trees were all built on set, along with 7 water tanks, 2 filled simply to carry the water, 4 were used for each section of the house, and a 3-meter tall, 60-meter by 80-meter tank was used for the neighborhood.
Wow.
This was huge.
Yeah, that's massive.
Most of the weather elements seen in the film, including the wind and rain, were provided on set during filming, while the setting, trees, and hurricane itself were computer generated.
That's what I thought. I mean, because it would just how would you afford to do it big anyway?
After filming concluded, the visual effects were handled during post-production for 3 months by Rodeo Effects, supervised by Tommy Montemini Browder and Keith Calder, who created a total of 244 shots of the film.
3 months?
3 months.
It looks really done.
Yeah.
3 months seems really fast.
Although the film is set in Florida, 6 of the 8 top-billed actors are from the UK, 1 from Canada, and 1 from Croatia.
Well, okay. It's like an NBA team.
Yeah. Scodelario found the shoot to be the most physically demanding of her career, stating, "I was broken at the end of every day. We were shooting 16 to 18-hour days. I was on set all day, every day. I lost about 12 pounds shooting the movie, but gained some of it in muscle, which I was quite impressed with. I broke a finger, came home every day, bruised, bloodied, and cut open."
God damn. Well, and working in water
is
just, I mean, and I have my own feelings about water.
Yeah.
I think I've drowned twice.
Yes.
So I'm not as terrified of water as I was for most of my life. I learned how to officially swim when I was 30.
That would help.
So I think it was 30 or 29.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. And yeah, working in water every day. I mean, not just how unpredictable water can be even in a pool or a tank, but also just your skin getting pruny, how hard it is to keep the temperature under control. I mean, it's just going to be cold every day.
Well, you shot those underwater scenes for Scare Waves. Would you say it was difficult to shoot with the camera underwater?
I didn't shoot them.
Oh, you did?
I had Whiting do it.
Because, that's right.
Because Eric, my assistant director on it, we were using his camera because he had a camera that was smaller.
Yeah.
That could fit in
the
the dry bag is what they're called. But it was actually like an underwater photography bag. But since he already knew how to operate the camera, and he's very comfortable in the water, and I am not.
That's right.
But also, it wasn't just that I didn't want to get wet, though. It was also that we had such a fast production schedule.
We did.
I didn't have time to be drying off while we shot the next scene.
Yeah.
Now, the way we scheduled it, the actress in that scene who was swimming in the pool, she had time to get dried off.
Yeah.
But I had to, the second we were done wrapping, I grabbed the A camera and went straight inside the house to film something else while our lead actress was getting her hair dried and doing her makeup again and everything.
I remember that.
So it was a double of that. But then after that, every other time we ever did anything underwater, I had Eric do it because he did such a good job.
Yeah.
The hardest part is getting exposure underwater because it's brighter under there than you're expecting. You're expecting it to actually be kind of dark, but that's because once you get the exposure right, it just looks kind of dark because it's actually pretty bright which makes sense when you think about it, because the sun's hitting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just remember that too, is like, we shot a couple of test shots, and then come up and we would look at it, we'd get a sun blocker out and we'd look at it, and then we would get until we got the exposure right.
Yeah.
And then it was like, let's film it.
Yep.
And it was fun. It was fun, but yeah, I would rather not work in water if I could help it.
That's fair. There were no press screenings for the film.
Who needs them? Clearly.
This is the first horror film Sam Raimi produced in many years without his longtime producing partner, Rob Tappert.
Oh, it was the beginning of the end of that.
Mm-hmm. The original script by Michael and Sean Rasmussen was a spec script that landed in possession of Aja. While Aja liked the log line, he became disappointed with the story's actual length, which only took place in the crawl space with one alligator menacing the characters until a second alligator showed up in the third act.
Well, that's the kind of thing where it's like, well, they're willing to drop, like 15 mil.
Yeah.
So let's go a spectacle.
Yeah. Aja then left the James Wan production to rewrite the script for over a year to introduce new locations and expand the characters. He did extensive research on hurricanes and alligators while also looking at hundreds of hours of real footage.
Hundreds.
It was Kaya Scodelario. Oh my God, I can't talk now.
I know.
Scodelario's idea for her character to be barefoot most of the movie. She fought to have her character barefoot because she knew as a woman, if you step in poop or mud in flip-flops, instinct is to take them off.
That's dead ass right, though.
Yeah.
Who would leave it on?
Yeah. Early in the film, Dave's truck's license plate says Matt 725, seen out of the garage door during the hurricane. Matt 725 in the Bible reads, "The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, yet it did not fall because it had foundation on a rock.
And I will lay upon you with furious anger those who try to
poison my brothers."
No, that's a really great little
tidbit.
Yeah, that's great.
The burglars who robbed the gas station are named Marv, Stan, and Lee, which is a nod to Marvel creator Stan Lee. Coincidentally, Sam Raimi, who produced this film, directed 3 Spider-Man films.
When I heard Marv, I was like, oh, so a Home Alone reference.
Yeah.
The Wet Bandits.
When Haley drives through the storm with the dog sitting in the passenger seat, the entire stage is in a water tank and consists of a town with wooden houses, gardens, and a gas station, playground, and a playground. This scene was set inside of a stationary car against a blue screen. The trainer leaned down in the back seat to cue the dog to stay seated. Outside of the car, there was wind and rain debris, leaves hitting the windows. The dog action, effects and VFX were discussed in full before filming the scene. The dog's exposure to the effects outside of the car was limited. All loose materials on set were removed prior to the wind machines being used. Strict safety controls were in place for crew and animals entering the water tank. A minimum of 2 divers were on set at all times. The dogs had to be fully trained to swim, and training videos were made available prior to filming for them.
Wow.
The water was filtered throughout the day and was maintained at a temperature of 84 degrees Fahrenheit. There were predetermined dry, safe areas allocated for the dogs to use in the flooded area of each part.
84 degrees?
84 degrees.
That's what it said.
Yeah.
84. That's pretty. That's like bathwater warm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean, I
wouldn't
for a long
imagine
time, but that would be hot, I would think, after a while too.
Not when that's almost body temperature.
Yeah, that's body temperature. Yeah,
I think. I mean, I think you would still end up feeling cold.
Yeah,
when you
probably.
left it and stuff.
The Blu-ray for the film contains a motion comic version for a planned alternate opening for the film, which featured a family trying to escape the flood, only to be attacked and killed by the alligators. Aja explained in an introduction that this motion comic was created because the filmmakers were unable to produce the opening in live action, while they were unable to produce a live action version of this alternate opening remains unknown.
Probably budgetary.
That's what I would
guess.
I mean,
well, and they probably were like, okay, this is going to cost us like $500,000 to do the scene.
Yeah.
Because of all the effects and stuff. And does it really feed the main point? Like,
it's cool. I watched it.
I kind of like that we don't really get an idea of the alligators until it's really
like
bad
25
already.
minutes in or so.
But I kind of love that.
Yeah.
So I think that's another reason is like having the alligators, because we know they're coming.
Yeah.
So having the alligators kind of pop up right when we're at our most vulnerable, I really like.
It's great. Aja revealed that the dog Sugar was originally meant to die, stating, "We were back and forth with the dog should sacrifice itself. Should the dog be fed to alligators to save someone? Should the dog lose a part of its body?" He recalled that's a bunch of horrifying ideas. At least if the dog sacrificed itself, it would have been noble to the end, but the idea of throwing Sugar to the alligators to save another person probably would have made audiences turn on the protagonist.
Yeah, it would have.
But I think at the end we chose not to do it because the interesting part was to make people feel that the dog was not going to make it for the whole movie. Aja said, alluding to the fact that so much does go wrong in Crawl that it's shocking the dog does make it out at all. In all fairness, the reason we asked in the first place, and yet there's one more reason Sugar survives in Crawl, also to keep him alive for the sequel.
Oh, that's fun. No, but I do agree. Like having the dog sacrifice itself to save its owners and stuff would work pretty well. It would piss you off, but you would like get it.
You get it.
But having the whole movie be you wondering when the dog's gonna bite it, especially with Aja attached to it, you're kind of expecting like no punches pulled.
Yeah,
I like that. And like I said, this is a overall, for as intense as it is, it's kind of a lighter movie. We don't really lose any major main characters.
No.
We mostly lose every side character.
Yeah, every side character possible.
Yeah.
So the action scenes draw heavily from Jurassic Park. The alligators are said to have vision based on movement, just like the T-Rex, so at different times the protagonist can escape detection by standing still. One main character has their arm bitten off, and another is helped to safety while nursing a leg wound bound with a tourniquet. One scene shows the main characters freezing in fear whilst pointing a torch straight into the eye of the antagonist reptile. The alligators are shown to hunt in threes, with one distracting the front while the other two swoop in from the sides, just like velociraptors.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
The main action takes place during a hurricane.
Yeah. Was it a hurricane?
Yeah.
It wasn't a monsoon?
No, hurricane.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it is a coincidence or not, the movie shows several similarities to producer Sam Raimi's film Evil Dead. A tree breaks through a cabin window. There are fights with monsters in the basement. There is a flood going on that prevents the protagonist from leaving the area, and one of them loses a part of their arm.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Evil Dead 2 a lot.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. That's
and
a funny
finally,
comparison.
in August 2024, Paramount greenlit a sequel called Crawl 2. Aja set to return
What a
as director. I know. From script co-written by Andrew Douchman and Jason Pagan.
It's probably not Douchman. Even if it is, it isn't anymore.
Either
It's
way.
like people named Kuntz with a U.
So what are your final thoughts on 2019's Crawl?
What a blast.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, honestly, what a friggin' blast. The fact that this movie is sitting here free on Tubi, or not Tubi, on Pluto. The fact that it's sitting free on Pluto, like if you've seen it before, like if you saw it in 2019 or 2020, put it on again. Yeah. Have some fun. It's a perfect kind of summertime film, too. It really kind of fits.
And especially with all the rain we've been getting. I mean, in our area.
Well, and with all the rain. And also, but it's like it's in Florida. Yeah. It's got all that
perfect
kind of
spring
going
break movie.
Why not? As perfect as any other.
It's going to be a rent it for me. This with a buy it caveat because A, it just did get a really good 4K from what I've heard. I'm probably going to pick that up at some point. But B, it's just, you know exactly what you're getting when you buy this movie, watch this movie, whatever it is in that regard.
Yeah.
If you want a movie with killer alligators during a hurricane, here you go.
Yeah, it's definitely a rent it. I mean, like it's an own it if you're, a nutter who just loves the shit.
Exactly.
But it doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it gives you a really good time.
So we always like to end the show with a couple recommendations. The first one I have this week, no surprise at all, 1980s Alligator, currently available on Tubi, Roku, Prime, Peacock, and Fossum. Pet baby alligator is flushed down a toilet and survives in the city sewers. 12 years later, it grows to be an enormous size thanks to a diet of discarded laboratory dogs injected with growth hormones. Now humans have entered the menu.
Man, every time I always forget how ridiculous that concept. I love that movie.
No,
but every time it's a ridiculous concept.
Such a good concept. Second one I'm going to do is 2012's Bait, currently available on Prime, Plex, and Fossum. A freak tsunami traps shoppers at a coastal Australian supermarket inside the building, along with the 12-foot great white sharks. This one is wild.
Yeah, and it's so good.
And I'm going to give a third one just as a shout out because this is one that like people talked about for a little bit, but I think a lot of people have forgotten about it. The Pool from 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. In an abandoned 6-meter deep pool, a couple is stranded there with a deadly predator, which turns out to be an alligator or crocodile. I can't remember which, but that movie is fun.
Really fun.
And also has a lot of sponsorship from Pizza Hut.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pizza Hut.
There's a lot of Pizza Hut in that movie.
Well, my suggestion, which you pretty much called, what it would be is 2016's The Shallows.
Yes.
When it comes to shark movies, there are many options. And so many of them have done very similar things. Jaws and Sharknado are literally the same movie. No, but there's a lot of options that are kind of the same. In The Shallows, for those who don't know, the concept, according to IMDb, is a mere 200 yards from shore, surfer Nancy is attacked by a great white shark, with her short journey to safety becoming the ultimate contest of wills. The idea of being so close to the beach, but you're stuck on like a reef, basically, which, by the way, sucks to be on because it'll cut you up and everything.
Yeah.
It's a great film. The tension is so high in the film. It really is like it's an insanely entertaining,
Yeah.
engrossing film. It's currently on Amazon Prime with a membership and Stars to watch for free, or you could rent it wherever. But I highly recommend that one. It is just a masterclass in like a simple, stressful horror film.
You literally stay with a character who gets attacked by a shark for the entire length of the movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, you are with them from the go of the rough.
Well, I love when something is so simple, like you're 200 feet or whatever from the beach, and then a shark can't hurt you, but you may as well have to go to the moon, because it's so impossible. I'm not going to go on a huge tirade or whatever, but in The Gray, there's a scene where a guy drowns because his foot is caught on the rock, and he's less than a foot
away from
being above the water, but he dies, because with his foot caught the way it is, and with how cold the water is, it's impossible to get him out. So he drowns so close to the surface. Every time I watch that movie, it makes me like sick with anxiety because it's like you're so close to living and you don't get to.
That seems rough.
And The Shallows kind of plays on that. Obviously, it's a little bit more advanced with a 200-yard from shore thing, but the whole concept is great. And I didn't even realize until I was actually reading this right now, Blake Lively stars in that.
Yeah, she's a star.
Who, went on to have a very big and tumultuous career and possibly personal life. But we're not that kind of show.
We are not indeed.
The Shallows from 2016, like, dear God, watch it.
Hell yeah. Do we have any emails this week?
No. Yeah, actually, we have a lot.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So I'm just going to cough real quick. Because we got a bunch, man. Okay. So, by the way, if you guys want to send us an email, please do so at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com. We love to hear from you, whether it's a commentary on what we've been showing or talking about, or if you want us to watch something, or send us an email, doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com.
Yes.
This first one is from our buddy Maurice.
Awesome.
The subject is from a fan who's definitely not a personal friend. Damn it. We've definitely never met before and have not become close friends through Cinema Wasteland.
Never.
Now that I have established we do not know each other, I wanted to let you guys know how much I enjoy the podcast. It's a good escape for when things go sideways in life. Things haven't been exactly awesome lately, and on March 21st, I suffered through the 15th anniversary of finding my father dead in his home. It's a pain that still lingers and probably always will. One of his favorite movies was Field of Dreams, a movie I have not been able to bring myself to watch since he died. Now that it's baseball season, I think it would be a good movie to cover on your show sometime.
It's one I've thought about. I'm a big Field of Dreams fan, and I honestly have not revisited it in probably a good 6 or 7 years.
I'd love
to
so much to cover Field of Dreams.
Oh, hell yeah.
I reference it all the time when I talk about how hard it is to have a business. I say, if you build it, they will not come.
They will not come.
You got to do a lot more. If you build it and tell everyone you know, you hope for a 6% conversion rate.
But yeah, I would say Field of Dreams is absolutely one we can do, and especially for Maurice, I'd be more than happy to.
I think so too. This next one's from our good buddy Trank.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Hey guys, still loving the podcast. After hearing the last one, I went home to have a Living Dead marathon. By the way, I'm taking Waffle Stomp for a band name, LeMayo. Was going through my search list for old movies and came across a gem from my childhood, Runaway from 1984, starring Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons and Kirstie Alley, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he says with Gene Simmons as the villain.
Yep.
It's a great movie, in my opinion. I would also like to get your take on Mi Familia 1995.
Man, I have not actually seen that. I've heard of it.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I have not seen it. But
You should write that one down, because you got me curious. And not just because it's in Spanish, but
from 1995.
It says, 95.
I found one in 96.
That's probably it then.
I have no idea. It's no, that's a TV series. Unless I'm spelling it wrong.
M-I
F-A-M-I-L-I-A. Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, it's because it's under the title My Family. Wait, we've seen My Family, haven't we?
My Family?
With Jimmy Smits, Asai Morales, Edward James Olmos.
No, this is new to me. I've seen this poster before, but yeah, I've actually never seen this movie.
A man makes his way from Mexico to Los Angeles in the 1920s and gets married, raises a big family there. The movie follows the children until they get married and start their own families in the 1960s.
Yeah, this sounds right up our alley.
I would love to watch this.
Yeah, I'm all in.
I've definitely seen this box
Poster.
cover.
Yeah.
I have seen this.
Are you looking at the trailer?
No, I'm looking at the trailer started to help,
Yeah.
but no, I have seen this because I own a digital copy.
Ah.
I clicked on the Amazon thing. No, this movie's really, really good.
Okay. Well, I'm adding that to my list.
I am not getting tears in my eyes remembering the film at all.
No, you're not. Not at all. You wouldn't do that.
I would love to talk about Mi Familia.
Okay.
I would also like to get your take. Oh, yes, I read that. It's one of my favorites. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for turning us on to that title, because that's one I'm definitely going to put on the list.
Oh, it's so good.
Quick.
I'm fine. That didn't. We got quite some emails. So this one's another one from our good buddy, Mike Eshkui.
Okay. Birdman.
The subject is a good distraction. Hey, Hen and Dave. It's been a while, but I wanted to reach out and share some thoughts. I have had a rough few weeks and been trapped inside since the beginning of March, broken wheelchair and waiting on parts. Started going back to old episodes I haven't listened to yet. When I could get out and about, I'd listen to episodes and usually end up putting stuff on my list to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to my friendship of both of you, I have discovered the fun of Letterboxd.
Yes.
And going back through my backlogs. Discovering how to use the app and maybe figuring out how to develop lists and stuff. I often check out whatever Dave is posting on there, and same with our mutual friend Ken.
Yep.
It's been fun to see how much I have embraced movies since getting into this podcast. I'd watch movies and enjoy them, but now things are a little different, and looking at them through a different lens and perspective. Since I'm stuck inside waiting for parts, I do have some requests if you'll indulge me.
Ooh.
I know I asked, but I'll ask again, because boredom, motherfuckers. Dungeons and Dragons, any of them.
He has requested that, yeah.
Hackers. The Gate 1 or 2. 2 might be more fun.
2 might be more fun, yeah. But 1 is fun too. Jesus.
Making Contact.
Yeah, he discovered Making Contact again recently.
And this one you'll be happy about. Nobody.
Oh, I fucking love Nobody.
Which he put where Better Call Saul goes John Wick.
Yeah. And in one of the coolest ways possible too.
Maybe we should cover that. Is the sequel coming out this year?
Might be this year. Yeah.
We should cover it. We should cover it right before we do that.
I'm totally in.
Thank you both for being friends, but also putting together one of the most authentic and relatable podcasts. I'm glad the world of podcasting brought us together as friends in the best way possible. Also, I'm really glad I didn't prank Dave with a yellow belt gag last year, as I was probably going to end up on a watch list if I went all in on it.
Yeah, he was talking about putting it in an evidence bag and like blood staining it and everything and sending it to us. And I was just like, that would have been funny, or it would have been like intercepted.
Well, considering it would have to go from Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
But love you guys. Less than 3. Mike.
Always good to hear from you, Birdman.
Now, this one, I don't know if we've heard from this guy before. His name's Jacob. The subject says, love the podcast. Hey guys, I started listening to your podcast at the beginning of the year, and I've been really enjoying it. I'm caught up all the way, and I've really been enjoying your thoughts and recommendations for all the films you've covered and inspired me to watch movies I haven't seen yet. Romancing the Stone, Bad Moon, Hard Rain, and Return of the Living Dead have been my favorites.
Hell yeah.
Wow, we brought you to Return of the Living Dead. That's epic. I love movies, and it's been great to listen to a podcast by 2 guys that feel the same. Your banter and introductions are also great too. It feels very natural. It's gotten more so as I've well, do you remember the time? Actually, we may have said that live on the air. Where you were just like, and now it's been like 40 minutes we have talked about the movie, and I was like, they can find any fucking movie show.
Return of the Living Dead. That was therapy. That was the therapy episode.
I stand by that.
Yeah.
I love movies, and it's been great to oh wait, I read that already. Sorry. Thanks for keeping it going and looking forward to many more episodes.
Hell yeah.
Well, I will mention, because I'm a son of a bitch, that if you love what we do here at Do You Even Movie, I don't plug this very often, but we could really use your support over on Patreon.
Yes.
Just go to doyouevenmovie.com and there's a link to the Patreon right there. If you contribute $3 a month or higher, you get to see the next, as long as time permits,
the
next week's show on Friday instead of Tuesday.
Yep.
It's just a little perk, but we really just massively appreciate the support if you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also have t-shirts on the website and stuff, which
we do.
If anybody were to buy one, I'd be very excited to see a picture of you in it. So, but that is it for our emails. But I want to remind you, you guys can send us an email at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, we had a lot of emails today.
Yeah, we did. Would you like to know what we are talking about next week as April showers comes to a close?
Hit me, white boy.
Well, since it's coming to a close, I guess we can just say that it can't rain all the time, because we are talking about
Edward Furlong.
Oh, we were talking about, no, we're not talking about the Crow Wicked Prayer. We're talking about the Crow from 1994, and this is probably going to be a very loaded episode because this movie's near and dear to my fucking heart.
And I hate it.
You don't hate it.
No, I actually...
You actually came around, but you just...
No, but I realized I'd seen it in the theater.
Yeah.
Which was very
That
surprising.
was crazy.
Yeah, well, and it made perfect sense.
Yeah. And
once I thought about it.
I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about The Crow 2024. I'm sure it'll come up on the show a little bit, but
it could.
But we're going to talk about the good one first.
Wow. Hateful Dave is hateful.
But yeah, The Crow 1994, currently available on Pluto TV. There's also a beautiful 4K that just came out. And I mean, you can rent it and buy it anywhere you get your videos at right now, too, digitally or physical.
Yeah. So next week, we'll be talking all about The Crow.
Yes.
So I guess that's about it for
that
this
is
week.
it.
So everybody out there, please stay dry.
Yes.
And stay away from the business end of any alligators.
I would say that.
That would be ideal.
That would be ideal.
And we really do appreciate you joining us today on Do You Even Movie. If you enjoy what you heard and you're listening on a podcast app, make sure you're subscribed and leave us a rating.
Yes,
whether on
please.
Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it makes a really big difference. If you have a movie fan in your life that you think would like the show, send it to them.
Yes.
You know, because word of mouth, I think, is the key to this show.
I would say so.
Because I will say, in all sincerity, I run one podcast that's basically, well, no, it is my day job at this point, as well as the movie stuff I do. And this show is a lot more of a fun experience and experiment. And we do air the horror related shows on Weekly Spooky, which is a nice way to kind of, you know, double dip and get more of an audience for those.
Yeah.
But this show is a lot of fun for me. It's been really wild seeing people be into it so intensely because we don't have a ton of listeners.
No.
But I am very surprised by how engaged the people who are listening are. And I really do appreciate hearing from you guys. I really do appreciate the encouragement, the recommendations, and the emails. The emails really make every episode sweeter.
It really does.
Except when you make me cry by reminding me about Mi Familia or talking about...
It's okay. I might
life.
cry because Gutter Garbs just sent me an email that Freddy's Dead shirts are a thing now.
Oh, well, your wallet will weep for certain.
Yeah.
Thank God all I do is buy cigars. But on that note, we're going to get out of here. Also,
Yes.
if you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment. We'll always respond. Make sure you're subscribed over there.
Yep.
And I guess it's time for us to get out of here. You know what's funny? Do you remember what you said on the way to the movies? You were like, Crawl, I like it, but like, a lot happens, but not really a lot to talk about. And you were like, this is going to be a short one.
I didn't say not a lot to talk about. I just said
well,
not a lot
you know what I mean.
happens.
You know what I
mean.
mean. Well, that's
got you.
worse, saying
Yeah.
not a lot happens.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a beefy episode.
This is definitely a beefy episode.
Well, it'll never compare to Beefy Boy, but it's pretty good.
You mean me, you can't beat me.
So until next time, my friends, all of you stay safe out there.
Yes.
And bring an umbrella.
Mhm.
And we will see you
next
Flavor
Crawl?
Town? Crawl?
Chomp Town.
Chomp Town.